Okay, Pogi Pogi.
Hey,
Awesome.
welcome to Hollow Time, episode 7.
Got it to number lucky 7.
And today
7
is
episodes already.
7 episodes. Today is October 14th,
No,
2020.
15.
Oh, 15. 15.
He had one job.
We weren't fast on the finger.
Let's do it again. Okay, we're still
Okay, serious now.
So I am Kuya Nikki, and this is
Ate Maan.
Ate Maan. We also have to my right, where is he here? It is Kuya Rob.
Good thing he has my spores.
We also have
Hello.
AZ Pinoy, aka Carl, and for the first time,
All right.
is this our special guest this week?
AZ Pinay?
AZ Pinay,
Our first
AKA
Cheryl.
guest.
our first
Special.
official guest.
Which you might be
Special
like
guest.
committed guest too.
Below us, we have
Tita Fred.
Zach M. Rutledge.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
aka
I thought we
Pan
were
Fred.
doing. I thought we were doing costumes. My bad.
And to Fred's left, we have
Kuya Harold, Roldy.
Kuya Roldy. And last but not least, we have
More and more.
oh, zoom in.
Wow.
Zoom.
Enhance.
More.
Enhance.
More.
Enhance.
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 Is that AI?
That's AI or more. We want the real one. Bring it back.
Enhance.
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 So we did miss last week, unfortunately, but we're back. We're back here for another
Yeah.
Hollow Time.
We're flexible with the shifting. So
Pretty flexible.
full house today. So that's very good and impressive. And we come together for these chats because not only for our love of Lego, but again, we want to share our ideas, our experiences, our memories of being Filipino North Americans, and sort of what we can bring together in ideas and thoughts and expressions, how we've come to be who we are. And again, Lego really is our common denominator.
Yes. And speaking of this month, October is a special month for
Yeah.
our culture.
So we're going to touch base on the Filipino Heritage Month, something that I wasn't really aware of. I only knew about the Independence Day in June. But as we are also in October, we can also start talking about Filipino superstitions and all the things that creep in the dark. And I know you all have all your stories, so I can't wait to listen to them.
Yes.
And then we won't sleep tonight.
And
And the moo-moos that crawl at night.
Okay, guys, the intro's done. You guys can jump in anytime you want.
You sure?
We're enjoying
You're
it.
not
You
just
got
gonna
this.
talk.
I mean, I was listening. You know, I was
Yeah,
like,
you know,
this is
hours
nice.
of-
Yeah, this is
We're
great.
like, I'm
That
like
was well
waiting
done.
for someone else
That
to
was
jump
well
in.
That was well done.
We're like, that's fine. They got this. It's
They
cool.
got
We're just
this.
here. I'm just here for looks. You know.
Yeah, I'm just here for the pretty.
I'm here to look.
You know.
You know.
Yeah, okay, enough of the
Glasses.
poginess now. Okay, we got it.
Are you wearing double glasses too?
Whoa.
Oh my goodness.
Wow, Rob.
Rob's going 3.
Is that how you run
Wow.
at night?
Yeah,
Shaved
at
and-
night. Yeah. I actually got a headlamp for my my early morning runs, and the trail that I run on is so
Dark.
creepy. There's
Oh.
there's all of these creepy crawly,
It's your
Animals
motivation
and
to
stuff.
run.
there What's that?
Yeah, to run.
Your motivation.
Yeah,
Yeah, you
oh,
gotta run
oh,
faster.
Out of there.
That's what I would do.
6-minute miles, you know.
Oh my
There's in Austin, there is a bridge. If you haven't been to Austin before, there's a bridge with thousands of bats underneath. They live in the bridge, and
Oh.
the trail goes under the bridge.
Oh.
And so my run, you know, when I go early in the morning, they're all, you know, loud and
Waiting for
flying
you,
around.
and you're like,
yeah,
"This is
yeah,
my
waiting
speed
for me,
work."
basically. Yeah, yeah.
I was gonna say
Oh my
Texas,
gosh, I
and it's
run
still
so
very
fast.
white after running.
So
Because it's
is there
nighttime and
no
very
other-
early.
Yeah. What time do you go then? Like 5 a.m.?
Yeah, and it's like 5:30 ish,
Or it gets hot.
Right. Yeah.
or it gets hot, exactly. So it's like either be scared by all of the, you know, animals and wildlife, or suffer through the heat. You know, it's like-
Yeah. Yeah. Which
Oh.
one will kill you less?
I
Or
don't
Kill
know.
you slower.
slow you down more.
Slower, yeah.
Usually
Is
here,
that-
whenever I go running in the dark, I'm always looking out for the skunks
Yeah.
because you can spot the skunks because of that their white strip. Because if you're running along the sidewalk,
Ah.
there's always like skunks, like
And there's enough
And then
like,
you-
light to
you can't-
refract off them.
they kind of
What do you
like
mean?
scare, like startle you,
Are
and you don't want to get
skunky?
Yeah.
sprayed.
Yeah, we have lots
Right.
of skunks around here.
You don't want to get
That's what I
sprayed,
would
so you just run to the opposite side and then keep
Yeah.
going.
because
Keep
then they
going.
can just spray. Mm.
When I was
Over
when I was
over
on
here,
my
it's
run-
rattlesnakes.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
God.
Yeah.
Jeez.
why do we
Okay.
run?
That's what I stand.
Why do we
Whenever-
want to be
whenever-
one with nature? I don't get it.
That's how it started.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's true.
Running.
Yeah, back to the
From
roots.
fear.
that's right.
Yeah, out of fear. That's the reason why you run, out of fear.
Well, the
Let's
funny
practice
thing is
some
we had
kick
a
transform.
we had a friend one time from Chicago. Remember, I forgot his name, but Charlton. Yeah, we went hiking, and it was like a simple path.
It was the
right?
bottom of Superstition
Yeah.
Mountain.
The Superstition Mountains over here,
Superstition Mountain. Wow.
and
Right?
we I think he took a like one of those off the path trails.
Well, you gotta tell him first.
Yeah.
This guy is short and buff and very happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
And he was
very
like,
nice.
he's gonna go ahead of us with his brand new expensive cactus skeleton. Is that
Oh,
what it's
yeah,
called?
the-
Spine or whatever?
The walking stick.
The
walking
walking
Oh,
stick.
okay,
stick,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it's the spine of the cactus or saguaro. or something.
Oh, okay.
So he left us. Go ahead.
And then, well, he left us, and then we saw him. He was like
It's far.
he was far, and I was
Ahead
like,
of
what is
you.
he doing? And then all of a sudden, like Cheryl said, he's like this
Run.
short Filipino guy. All of a sudden, you
Buff.
see him like
Running
back
towards us.
running like downhill, and we're like, what's going on? We went downhill, and he was getting chased by bees.
Yeah, because
Oh.
you know, this
Oh.
Chicago Filipino man is
That's amazing.
filled with cologne. So
So it was like a cartoon.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
just sees like
Yeah,
the
what?
dust,
The
smoke
dust.
behind him.
He's going. I have friends that I can divert the bees
You know how
too.
fast the bees can
Oh my
fly.
gosh.
Only so
yeah.
much you can do with a cactus
Yeah.
against
Yeah.
bees. Rip.
It's like-
That's the
Nailed it.
wrong thing to bring on your hike.
yeah. On my run last 2 weeks ago, I had my light on, and it was like the LED. There's like an LED
Mhm.
one, and then there's like an actual like light bulb one. That it's just very specific. Where the LED one it's much wider, so you can
Right.
see the whole path. So I had that one on, and I saw like these fireflies kind of like
Oh,
floating
yeah, yeah.
around. I was
Okay.
like, oh,
That's
cool. They have
awesome.
That is pretty.
they have fireflies in Texas. And then they, you know, like they went away, right? And then I saw it again, but then I heard, and it was little feet scurrying away, and I realized that it wasn't fireflies; it was my
Duende.
light reflecting their eyes
Oh,
of some
was
sort of a
it?
creature. I don't
Oh,
know. I
no.
didn't see it.
Duende.
What's
See it?
Duende.
I didn't see it.
The duende. Hello.
Speaking of,
Hello.
That's a good segue into
Yeah.
you know our superstitions.
we
right?
run
Nope.
outside to look for
Thank.
duende
What's
or
duende?
little dwarves.
Yeah, it's a dwarf.
okay.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know what. I don't.
Nope.
I actually don't know any. You know,
Superstitions.
Filipino
Your parents
superstitions or
didn't
anything.
Like
feed you
Filipino,
into that.
No, no.
Oh,
So thank
Filipino, like
goodness, because I
Filipino-
can actually
what's it,
sleep at night.
monsters?
So
they're
maybe now I won't
little
be able to.
creatures.
So-
They're dwarves.
Yeah. So the duende, the Wikipedia. Thank you, Wikipedia. Not
Thank
sponsored.
you.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Is there a share
Definition
screen?
of no, I'm not gonna do a share screen. I mean, you can
Yeah,
look
sure,
up.
yeah.
You can find a Google image if you want. But the
I will
description is a duende is a humanoid figure of folklore with variations from Iberian, Ibero-American, and Filipino cultures comparable to dwarves, gnomes, or leprechauns.
Duende.
Mm.
And they're all
Mhm.
over the Philippines because I remember my
Mhm.
dad would have his
In the
own
mountains.
version stories in the north, and my mom was from Mindoro, and she has her own version stories from the south.
Mhm.
And they are not to be you should not offend them. So I remember, I don't know if you remember, like a few shows ago, we're talking about when you go to areas that are sacred, you say tabi
Tabi-
po
Tabi
no
tabi
no,
pa po, yeah.
right? Which is nuno is I
Excuse
guess
me.
what is nuno? I guess maybe another word for duende, I'm assuming.
Yeah, just
It's a
another.
little bit bigger, supposedly.
And so they're just another supernatural entity. But
Yeah.
tabi po means go aside or I'm coming through, but
Mm.
please do it so I'm not offending your space. Right. So I know when
Or
we
you
go
don't
through
step on 'em.
graveyards, and you don't want to step on them because then they
Yeah.
could curse
They
you or
take
do
revenge.
something.
Yeah.
Right. So I remember as a little, I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't know what I was saying, but I'd be going
Or-
through graveyards going tabi po no no. Tabi po
But
no no.
curses-
Wait. Say it again.
curse-
Say it again clearly so I
Tabi,
know.
tabi po no no. So tabi po is
Tabi
well, po
po
is, you
no.
say to all elderlies, right?
Yeah.
Opo, kamusta
yeah.
po. But tabi is to go aside. Tabi po
Tabi
no.
po.
And no is the
Tabi po
entity.
no.
Tabi po no.
Tabi
Now
po
you know what
no.
to do in
I'm
any
on
scary
the
place.
run.
Yeah, just preemptively say that while you're
Tabi
running.
po no
Yeah.
no. And when I was
Supposedly it's in
little,
mounds. Any mounds that you see, don't step on it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
mounds?
That's your man.
out
Any
there.
mounds, like a small
Yes.
dirt mound.
so my
It's
my
supposedly like their home.
their house exactly. So I don't know if they're ant hills, but my mom's story about that, I don't know if we should go into this now, is about her dad. So this was during the wartime and he was a soldier, and young man, he was a boisterous soldier, and he sees this mound in some jungle area in I assume Mindoro, right? And so he was blatant and just obnoxious, and he wanted to do number one, to pee. And he sees this mound, and it's sometimes I guess people pee on the bark of a tree, but he sees this mound instead,
Anywhere.
and he peed on
Uh-oh.
this mound. And so he thought nothing of it. He basically said, "Step aside, your king is coming," is what my version is, which is even more of an offense, right? Like I can't remember, like ang hari mo ay dadating or something like that, right? So it's a more offensive to even maybe a sacred space that you should be saying tabi po no bit, right? So he thought nothing of it, but in that evening he goes home and his private parts expand crazy.
In a bad way.
In a
Yeah.
bad
Yeah,
way.
in a
I don't
bad
think
way.
it was
Like,
good.
clarification.
It was a very bad way.
Nice. Good.
And
good.
so they had to call a
The
witch.
berries.
They had to call a witch doctor. Ultimately, there's a word for that.
Albulario.
Ambulario.
Thank you. They had to call for an ambulario who did I don't know what, maybe some-
What?
Yes, and this
So-
is my mom's family.
Wait, so this is a true story?
True story.
Oh, can
according
we
to my
can
mom,
we can
her
we get you
dad.
to record this later as a true story over some random video footage and post this on YouTube?
Sure, I guess
Wait,
so.
One video footage. 1 second here.
No, I don't want to detour. Let's keep going. I'm just saying. Keep
So
going.
they
True
have
story.
the ambulario come to the house, and I don't know what they do with potions or prayer smokes. I don't know. But again, my
Different
mom's family is
versions, yeah.
very Catholic, right? Very pious, all that stuff. And yet
Yeah.
the divergence of Filipino culture is you have that faith, but you also have this strong belief in the ambulario and what they can do with respect to these other entities that are very much on earth, not heavenly angels, right? And so he reverted back to normal. I think after a few days, maybe he had to take some potions as well, eat some potions, and he went on to have 5 children. So, and I'm, one of the many grandchildren's later on. Clearly nothing was wrong with the functioning after. So thank you, Ambulario, for making
That-
sure my
that-
mom's side of the
So
family
fun.
still keeps going.
That actually happened. Well, not that same story, but for my cousin, my
this is
my
even
oldest
recent.
cousin in the Philippines.
Okay, first of all, he doesn't talk about scary stuff at all. So this is really intriguing for me.
It's great. This is
I
great.
Okay.
love
Usually,
seeing
you
this.
know, all the lights are usually on in the house.
We have this
I
on
didn't
video.
even know this.
Maybe
We
Christmas,
have this on
all the
video.
lights are on.
We'll send you some
Lucy.
stuff
Go
that you need
ahead.
later.
They're all the lights.
I am
yeah.
intrigued.
No, so in the Philippines, my oldest cousin got sick. Right, got sick, and it was one of those, they couldn't figure out what's going on, so they got the local albularyo, right?
Manghihilot
Yeah,
usually.
or we'll say
Manghihilot.
manghihilot or something like that, and they did the same thing, like a seance thing, and I actually saw it to where they burned. I forgot what they burned, but
Leaves.
it created like some shape of, they'll say, oh, it's some creature that he passed. They said it's some creature that he passed by. It's kind of like that tawi-tawi pununo, right?
Yeah,
On this specific tree by our school.
a tree always.
Okay.
Yeah, and
So-
ever since then, I've never passed it when I was in elementary school.
I
You're
told
talking
you.
about the
That-
capre?
No,
They
that's a
didn't say if it
different.
was capre.
That's a
but
different
they-
character.
Usually a
forgot.
tree thing.
Yeah, he
Yeah,
used
I
to-
forgot what it was, but it could be. But it was one of those, like, as you were a kid, and
Yeah.
that's what they found out.
What
so you
happened
never
to
pa-
him that they thought this happened?
I know.
I forgot. It was a long time ago, but it was one of those,
You were little
memories as a-
enough,
yeah, memories of,
but enough to make an impression and scare you.
So
Yeah.
Maybe
so
the bat that
my-
was chasing Rob was a tick tick.
Wow.
My dad had one of those trees in his neighborhood that he had to pass by whenever he went to school, and so at night he he would at least try to have somebody walk with him, but a lot of time he was alone, and the only time he would walk by the tree, like it was on his way home, is
Yeah.
if there was a jeepney or a tricycle or a
Passing.
car passing. So there were
Meaning a
times in
crowd.
which he would have to wait for like 5 minutes for a tricycle or something to come, and then he would run alongside the tricycle just to pass by this damn tree because he ain't trying to mess with
Wow.
that kind of stuff. But the
Wait.
duende, going back to duende
Yeah.
though, the curses or the things don't have to be as extreme as in a large genital
Parts.
area.
Mhm,
Sounds great to me.
But
I don't
I know, right?
Sign me up.
Duende, where are you at? Duende, wait. If it takes for me
Kids.
to pee on your mound,
I don't know, guys.
but it can be like missing things. I know, like missing items.
I have stories
Them
about that.
messing with you in your sleep. Them giving you nightmares while you sleep. And things like that. And then it's not even just in the, it's even crossed over because I remember like when I was a little kid, we went over to a relative, like a family friend's house. Is
In
my
California?
dad's in California.
Oh, they brought the duende with them.
Family friend's house, and I saw that they had like a miniature like house in their backyard. And I was like, what the heck? Like, I was like, dude, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like, you can play dolls and stuff in there. And I was like, maybe they have, maybe their kids or whatever kind of like mess with it. And then they saw me looking at it and they said, don't touch it. My dad was like, don't touch that. Just look at it from afar. Don't get too close. I was like, okay. And I was like, but it looks dope because it was really ornate and detailed. And then and on the way home, I later find out that was their spot for the duende. That was for them to appease, their offering to duende. And a lot of the time, if something terrible happens or whatever, or they come across a string of bad luck or whatever, they'll leave food for it.
Yeah.
Like for them,
I've
like
heard that
at
too.
Wow.
To bring
they'll
luck
leave
back.
right. They'll bring food, they'll bring an offering, they'll bring it to the little house or whatever, and I guess they would bring it to a mound or whatever, wherever they feel like the duende is, so that the duende wouldn't screw with them. But sometimes it even follows like family lines. Like it's just like a house elf, like a family, like a
Give him a
family
sock.
house elf.
Give it a sock.
where-
That
Yeah.
is so interesting.
But the duende is free.
Yes.
Little did they know they just had to give him socks or something.
Right, exactly. So it's just something as trivial as like little stupid stuff like that. But then the way
Yeah.
to appease it is to treat it like it's family or whatever.
to give
But
sacrifice or offering or something. That's so interesting, right? Again, because again, we're so Catholic in terms of the whole culture, and yet there's
Yeah,
always
sure.
this side of the Philippine heritage that's still very mindful, very afraid,
Superstitious.
right?
Yeah.
Superstition
Yeah,
about that
superstitious.
piece, right? So yeah, no, I thought first you're gonna say it was a bahay kubo in the backyard, but
Yeah.
and again, like when people migrate to another country, you would think that you would lose these entities because there's other sorts of scary things here, like vampires and and werewolves, which is more North American in
And European.
in European and monstrous flavors. But that's interesting that maybe some of these entities are really attached to the lineage. Like, what if they're attached to family names? And
Like a
knock
curse.
wood, I don't think I have any of those, if anything. But Nick's dad actually is from the most haunted city in the Philippines.
Copies.
Cebu?
He's from
Capiz?
Capiz.
Where the
Copies.
monsters originated.
The most haunted.
The most
City?
haunted
Yes.
city is
What?
Capiz.
Where
And
They're
the
known for
monster
the
story
aswang?
started.
they're known for aswangs, which are
Yes.
like disembodied or like half floating
That's Manananggal. Yeah.
manananggal and aswangs. But what province is that?
Capiz is in
Capiz.
Cebu.
Capiz is the
Capiz
province.
is the province. I
Yeah.
see. So when we went to the Philippines once, and then you were gonna go to Capiz, and I love all sorts of things supernatural. I was so excited to go because I'm like, I can't wait to see something.
But then your mom was like warning you.
yeah, my mom's like, remember, you have to like do sign of the cross. Like she was telling me all these things, and I'm like, no. Like I really want to see something. I mean, I didn't. I think the people who want to see some things aren't going to see anything. Knock wood. But again, when you go to these older places, right, there is like that sense of I don't know, like just something hovering over it. Like I sense
I
it
always
too.
feel like
No, like
somebody's
even-
watching
Yeah, but
me.
even like if you ever walk through Savannah, Georgia, like Savannah, Georgia is all sorts of feeling haunted.
It's all the
I
sound.
get.
Oh.
I've felt that before.
All the
Or
voodoo stuff.
New Orleans, you walk into
New
some
Orleans.
places, even in like
Well, it's where the
within
haunted
city,
mansion
New
is.
Orleans.
Yeah,
you
we
know,
get that in
so-
New Orleans.
like you just get goosebumpy, right?
I felt that I felt that on an Indian reservation in New
Oh,
Mexico.
Oh, right.
That's
right.
where
That
that's where I've definitely
right?
felt that.
So I wouldn't say I don't believe in any of this because you can't dispute feelings. And I don't know, maybe it's mind over matter. Maybe you know that you're going to a place that's more older or more sacred. And so does that overtake our senses? I don't know, right? But yeah, we went to Capiz and I saw nothing.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Aren't you happy? If you did see something, you'd be freaking out.
You're like, I didn't see anything, Nick.
Like
I
don't
saw
wanna
like
be-
I saw like a beach resort. Where did we go
I
for
saw
the
a
beach
beach
resort?
Boracay?
We went to Boracay, nothing. I saw
Yeah, yeah.
Starbucks there, nothing.
What a disappointing
Starbucks on the
trip.
beach, right? Starbucks on the street.
Yeah,
Or
Starbucks on the beach. It was
on the
a
beach.
sandy.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
a sandy
On the beach.
Starbucks and everything.
Yeah. I've been there.
So
I've been
nothing
there.
scary. Everybody was so happy and friendly and
So another
That's what I liked. Take
another
me,
Frederick-
take me to Boracay.
yeah.
another French-educational moment for you. The aswang
Mhm.
is an umbrella term for various
Oh.
shape-shifting evil creatures in Filipino folklore, such as vampires, ghouls, witches, viscersuckers, and transforming human beast hybrids. The aswang is a subject of a wide variety of myths, stories, arts, and films, and is well known throughout the Philippines. So aswang is like an umbrella term, and so there
For
are
all those evil entities, and they're not good.
Yeah.
They're evil.
If you actually
Right.
want it's if you actually want like a reference point, it's not like a documentary or anything like that, but in Netflix, I think Harold brought this up before.
Trece.
In Netflix there's a Filipino anime called Trece, meaning 13, and
Yes.
the whole premise is it's kind of like a superhero albulario.
Yeah.
They go
Yeah.
after
Or
the
what
13
is that,
monsters.
Grim? Like the show Grim.
Yeah,
Team
it's kind of like
Trece.
Grim.
Mhm,
Yeah.
That's a good one
So-
too.
And the
Yes.
cool thing is you can actually watch it. It's kind of like watching a Japanese anime, right? You can
Yes.
either watch it dubbed or you can watch it in the Filipino language with an English sub.
Subtitles.
So if you want
That's
to pick
cool.
up some of the Filipino
Which
words,
is not recommended.
you can do it too. Yeah.
Yeah.
You
But it is a very
So-
good a series too.
You watched it?
I did. I watched it before.
They
Anything
wrote the
supernatural,
story as
like, I
if
love it.
like all the like entities were like mobsters. Like they have like each of their
Mm.
like gangs and stuff like that. Like
Yeah.
you have like this Duende who's like the
They hype
um,
it up, yeah.
Yeah, he's basically like the info guy. Like he's a
the
snitch,
informant.
basically.
Yeah.
You have
The
like
snitch.
Tik, which is like another breed of like
Yeah.
Aswang. It's like this little bat creature that pretty much like sucks people's blood and stuff like that. But then like the weirdest one was the he's like a horse head, muscular body.
Yeah, tikbalang.
Yeah,
Tikbalang.
Tikbalang. He's like
I
this,
know.
like Godfather.
You know
type,
the
like, with a
you know
cigar.
the thing about tikbalangs? I think one of my family members
Yeah.
experienced that.
What do they do again?
So
But basically, they're not
what
like
it does is it
Eats you.
gets you lost.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
no, that's tikbalang.
No,
It's like I think in Irish folklore it's like the Nessie, or there's like a horse symbol too that
that's Norwegian.
leads you away from wherever, and then ultimately it devours you. But the tikbalang is similar. Again, similar, right? Like different cultures have sort
Yeah.
of a different
And again, different
entity, but
cities have their
similar.
own different.
Correct.
Yo, this is
Various
weird. So the
So-
superstitions surrounding Tikbalan is
Usually we could be
they
in
scare travelers, lead them astray, and play tricks on them, such as making them return to an arbitrary path, no matter how far they go or turn.
Yes.
And here's the funny one. This is
yeah.
counteracted. This is counteracted by wearing one shirt inside out.
Inside out.
Yep.
Yes.
Another countermeasure is to ask permission out loud, or to pass by, or not produce too much noise while in the woods in order not to offend or disturb the tikbalan.
The
Wow.
other thing is too,
Wow.
I think the other part of that superstition, it could be region based too, is if
Mhm.
you see if it starts raining when there's light out. It's kind of like a
a
sign that like, oh, there might be
premonition
like
that they're
a
coming.
tikbalang here. So some
Really?
people would be like reversing their
Oh.
shirt.
Yeah.
And then
I
Really?
didn't-
Your shirts.
Like it just starts raining and everyone's like,
Tikbalang!
quick, everyone!
you just be the neighbor's host. Just want
Yeah.
to turn your shirt inside
Yeah.
out. That happened
Wow.
to one of my
Like,
guardian's
crazy
brother.
episode.
He works for a lawyer's office in Intramuros. I don't know if you
Ooh,
guys know where
love
that
that
is.
area. Yeah.
It's one of
Oldest-
the haunted places, right?
Right in Manila.
One of the
right in
oldest
central Manila.
cities in Manila.
Mhm.
So he was going home, and we have this like I don't want to call her maid, tulong, but that's maid, right? Help. So we had this big window on the second floor, and watch Tito Elmer is his name. Just
Mhm.
walk past the house like 5 times, just
Mm.
going in circles. So Taft Avenue to
Oh.
Buendia, in Manila and Pasay, just keep going in circles like 5 times. And so she was like, "Why is he just keep going, walking and walking and walking, the last couple hours?" And so finally she went towards him and go, "Where are you going?" He goes, "Home, but I can't find it." He goes, "You passed the
Oh.
house like 5 times." And so a lot of the people in that street always said that Gutierrez Street, which has a lot of
Okay.
trees, they said there's a capre there.
Oh,
And
a
they said,
capre.
"Okay, Tito Elmer, you need to turn your work shirt inside out so you can find your way home, because what the heck?"
You're gonna get
Right?
lost.
And
Wow.
finally he got
Wow.
home, and he was just pissed because
It
it's been 2
worked?
hours since he got home.
Yeah.
What?
crazy.
Yeah, he
Wait,
just couldn't
Yeah.
find his way home.
So with the trees, is that like the
like they're
Americanized
there
version of
to
like
look
a
over
black
people.
The
cat?
capres
kind
live
of?
in trees. So capre is
Yeah.
another
Okay.
entity. I don't know if someone can Wikipedia it right
Almost
now.
like the
Yeah.
Twilight
I
Path.
haven't
But,
heard of
uh,
capris.
I
I have capre for you.
in our childhood, my childhood home a long time ago, it was beside the stream. I was born in the Philippines, and my parents had this home, and right at the end of the street was a stream with a lot of wooded trees. And for my dad to get me back into the house at the end of the day, he's like, "Oh, the capre is gonna come out and
So you
get
get
you.
home.
So come back into the house now." And,
Better
I
get
like to
home.
like, especially
like
when
the
it's
mumu.
raining, right? Like I like to shower in the
Oh.
rain. It's like in the Philippines, and she's like, "Yeah, it's a way for my dad to scare me to get in." And I have no idea what the capre would look like, but again, they live
And they
in
supposedly
trees.
smoke cigars, right?
Cigars. When you see like
Yeah,
someone coming
it's
out,
weird.
Wow.
Like
They have a
cigars
smell
are
to it.
weird.
At least they're a
Yeah.
little fancy.
The,
Yeah.
So the capre is a creature that may
like
be
a-
described as a tree giant or like an ent,
giant.
being a tall 7 to 9 foot, dark colored, hairy
Basketball
and
player.
muscular creature. Capres
Definitely
are
not Filipino.
also said to have a very strong odor and sit in tree branches to smoke.
Mhm.
There it is. Wow.
Capre.
So yeah, they're
Interesting.
looking. I guess they look over people in the trees, and then they camouflage in there, and so yeah, they can be.
But I didn't
So you
realize
better
they
bring a
would.
That's why I don't
Cuban.
look up.
Yeah, don't look up. But I don't know.
It's
If
dark
Filipinos,
outside,
I don't know if I
don't
ever
look
look up.
Yeah, right.
But I didn't realize they would lose. They would cause people to get lost and everything, right?
That's interesting.
But,
Yeah, they're not considered to be evil though, but they can
Oh.
turn vengeful when the tree that they are inhabiting is cut down. So maybe
Yeah.
they can be vengeful if
Yeah.
somebody screws with
Yeah.
their
I mean,
specific
somebody
tree.
demolished
That's
your
like Lord
house,
of the
you would be too,
Rings.
right?
Well,
Right,
yeah, I
yeah.
mean that's kind of like maybe that's why they screw with that street is because they cut their tree down, and so they're
Right.
screwing with the people
Mm.
that walk by.
So I guess it's like the balance between respecting nature all the time and before, I guess, settlements and stuff, there's a lot more of these entities. Who knows, right? But the people who live thereafter then since have felt their presences. I don't know. But back to the aswang, I'm not sure if the aswang is the one that I know umbrella term, but there's a specific aswang that has a very long tongue
Ooh,
Tick,
that
tick.
means pregnant.
and they eat fetus from a
Babies.
pregnant woman.
Yeah.
So when
Oh.
you are
Confirmed.
pregnant,
Ooh.
you're not supposed to be in a room alone.
Where does the tongue go in?
It goes straight into maybe the belly
The
button,
belly button?
and it will
button.
try to
Yep.
suck the fetus
Nope.
out.
Yeah.
So what's
Nope.
that called?
Isn't that the
What's the name
Maranda
of it?
Bell?
Tick-ticking? I think it's a tick-tick. Tick-tick? Because they make a
Tick-tick?
tick-tick sound. That's why you avoid
Yes.
it when you hear
So
it.
it sounds, and then
Oh.
but
Yeah,
that sounds also like an
like
insect
that.
at night. What's that insect at night? A cicada, right? And there's a lot of
Yeah.
cicadas at night in the Philippines. You go hear tick 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 tick.
Is
So if you
it?
hear that, you're not supposed to be alone when you're pregnant, especially towards your end of your pregnancy, because your
Mm.
baby could still be eaten by these entities. And they're also women. They're also
Oh, the aswangs
yes,
are women.
these kinds of aswangs are also women, and I don't know if it's because they've also lost their children, and then they
I think that was
ended
the
up
story of
committing
yeah.
suicide, which is again a big no-no, right? So you never enter heaven, and then you're cursed to be these entities. Is another memory that I have from
Almost
storytelling.
like
My
a
Lola
Rizal
loved to
Barrio,
tell
no?
stories like this,
Mm.
Yeah,
and
I
I'm
saw
just
a
like,
Filipino
tell me
movie
more.
about that.
But you can tell me all this stuff in America, but once we're in the Philippines, don't even talk to me.
Oh, I
Oh,
know.
no.
Don't tell me
I'm
that
safe
stuff.
here. In my
I
head,
had
it's so cool in
experience
Canada.
some
There's
stuff
none
over
of these
there
creatures
that
here.
I
Yeah.
wish I never
Oh.
did. It was the creepiest thing that ever happened to me. So, and I told you that Tito Elmer, the brother, is my guardian. I call him Papa. His name is Fred.
Okay.
And do you guys know
Strong name.
Ermita? Ermita.
No.
So it Ermita was developed after Intramuros. So it was already there during World War II when we had the big massacre, Japanese massacre.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's like 28-day massacre in February to March of 1945. Right. And so this place that we lived in, which is across the street from Ermita Catholic School / church, is the De Villa building, which I stayed in. It's supposed to be like a commercial building, right? Lawyers, dentists, and stuff like that. But because my guardian was taking care of this building, we rented one of the rooms so I can just go across the street to go to school. So we lived in, I know it's weird to say in English, but you lived in one studio room together with my guardian. So we sleep in like egg crates and whatever. So that's your mattress, whatever. So you can fold it up, put it away. So one day, because he always punches his calves because of restless leg syndrome.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
He's always punching it. And one night he just couldn't sleep whatsoever. He just kept punching it and punching it and punching it. Just can't sleep. And then the next morning he said, "Thank you so much for massaging my leg the night before." I'm like, what? I'm 12, 11, 12. I'm not doing that to you. Like,
Yeah.
no. He go, I mean, it's one room. There's nowhere for me to like hide, right? He goes, "No, you
Yeah.
massaged my leg last night. You were talking to him." I said, "Nope, didn't do that. Didn't do that at all." So I was like, okay, we got over that, right? And then, oh gosh, another time I come home, and Fred will remember this from earlier. I got in trouble again. He goes, "Why did you put this table?" Because we have this mini table, almost like a nightstand, but it's just a table. Did you put a cut glass on top so you can eat on top of it and you don't wet the wood?
Mhm.
He said, "I turned it completely upside down." I said, "I didn't do that. Why would I do that?"
Mhm.
He goes, I just cut. He was just pissed. "I just cut that glass and it could have broken. And I don't know what you did in here, but it's upside." I said, "Why would I do that?"
Mhm.
Like, first of all, I'm a girl. This is Filipinos. Like, we don't do stuff like that. Like by ourselves, Like, what are we going to
Yeah.
get out of it? And then he said he's missing tools from the room. Like Fred said, we had 2 desks in that room. That's all that can fit in there, in a filing cabinet and this table, right? And he would open the desk to get his tools to go repair something, fix something, make something. Can't find it. And that's the only. So I get home, I get in trouble again. He goes, where did you put all my crap? I said, why would I touch it?
Yeah.
Right? Like, what am I going to do with that stuff? So one day it happened again. So he closed the drawers and he said, you know what? I'm tired. I want this done. Please put it back. He's not talking to me. Okay. I'm not there. He goes, please put it back. He said he went to go do make some instant noodle. Come back 5 minutes later. It's same room, one bedroom, right?
Mhm.
There's no extra room anywhere else. Opens it, they're all there. All there. He said he opened it multiple
What?
times looking for this stuff and can't find it. I
No,
got in
then,
trouble.
yeah.
I left. I don't know where I went. He comes back and just says, please put it back. I'm tired. I want to get this over with. Just put it back. And he said to me finally, he goes, hey, remember the other day I told you thank you for massaging my leg? I said, yep. And I told you I didn't do it. I said, I know. I said, okay. So what happened? He goes, well, I went to an ambulario. I said, that's nice. And he said that the lady, the white lady, and no, not American lady, but a white ghost,
Oh,
took your form. I have goosebumps right now. Took your
Oh.
form
Oh no, the
and
one
massaged my leg. And I didn't tell her the story. She told me that somebody massaged my leg and played me. I said, that's nice.
Oh.
So after that, I never went into that room without him first. Because I said, there's no way in hell.
Oh
I'm
my
not doing
Wow.
that.
What did he
Like,
say?
no. So I've been like
Oh my
showering, you know, because
gosh.
there's like lepus in there, cockroaches. I'll be showering with your eyes open, just like just dear God, don't get soap in your
Yeah.
eyes, you know, because you have to keep it open.
Yeah.
Oh
But he
my
was like, yeah,
gosh.
she said that. And then my tools were disappearing because the little duende did not like the fact that the white lady likes me. That's why she
Oh.
was helping me and massaging my leg. So they would hide my stuff. I'm like,
That's
so I got in trouble
Wow.
for nothing?
Yeah. By all these
Yeah.
sacred
But I was like,
entities.
no. I said,
Wow.
I'm never going there alone
Yeah.
to sleep or whatever. It could be 3 o'clock in the morning. Don't ever leave me by myself.
Yeah.
So he tells the family in the first floor, because they're the caretakers of the whole building. It's not a
Mhm.
very wide building. It's just
Mhm.
like there's like 3 rooms per floor.
Okay.
So he tells the Nepomuceno family, and he goes, "Oh yeah, that's normal here."
The
I
white
said,
lady.
"Perfect." So I'm never going to their house either.
Oh my
Nope.
gosh.
So I stay at the playground across the street at our school, where there's a lot of people, because it's a Manila street, and the church is right there, and the security guard for the school, because it's a private school. So I go to Ermita Catholic School.
Mhm.
So I would wait by the swing, by the wall of the building, at the end of the school building where the windows are open, right? And my guardian then comes to meet the security guard by the gate, because private schools have gates. You can't just
Mhm.
enter, right?
Yeah.
And says, "Hey, I'm here to pick up AZ Pinay, Cheryl," right? And says,
Easy
"Okay,
Pinay.
right, whatever." He starts walking towards me. So I'm about to get up, and then he changes his mind, goes back to the guard. I said, "All right." So I sit back down. I don't want to know what they're talking about. I don't care, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, they're chit chatting. And then he just keeps staring at me. And then the security guard would look at me. I said, "That's nice." So he comes back towards me again, changes his mind again, goes back to the guard. I said, "What is he doing?" So finally, I walk towards him because it's almost 4:30 or whatever. School got out at 3. I said, "What are you guys talking about?" I said, "Oh, you done with your friend?" I said, "What?" He goes,
Again.
"You're talking to that girl behind you while you're on a swing." And, and
Nope.
I'm like,
That's a good
"What friend?" I have goosebumps, right? I said, "What friend?" He goes, "That's why I keep coming to you, but you guys are talking."
Nope.
I'm like, "I wasn't talking to anybody. What are you talking about?" I said, "There's nowhere on earth I can go in the Philippines now." I was like, "Where do I go?"
Nope.
Like, what the heck?
Schumart.
Right? I was like, but the other monster, there's a traffic, right? How do you get to Schumart? But I was like,
Yeah.
what are you talking about? So now it's like, no
Wow.
matter where I go, inside anything by myself, it's like, I can't, it's not happening.
But
I
it's
can't
that
do it.
it's that area more or less. You said you
Yeah.
called it Ermita, right? It's
See, now you
probably-
want to go there.
I
instead
do.
of puppies.
I'm like a ghost
Yeah.
hunter.
And you're gonna
no.
blame Cheryl
Nope.
if nothing happens to you.
I didn't see
Fred, you
anything.
need to look up
But-
You
I
need to look up the
love-
white lady
Yes.
superstition from the Philippines.
Yeah, you
White
can-
lady
I
is
don't
a
know
that.
huge entity too.
What's
in
the
different-
I have
Filipino
it.
name for that?
I have it
Just
here.
white
It's
lady.
the white
yeah,
lady.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go.
got it.
The mul-
It's
I have
white
it.
lady.
So
her
it's kind
story?
of interesting because the white lady, there's descriptions about it, like in Mexico, La Llorona, the weeping
Yeah.
woman. In
Oh.
Okinawa, it was actually when I was there, they mentioned the white lady at a construction yard on base where I was stationed at. So unfortunately, a construction worker died, but he kept saying, "Oh, there's a woman there crying." He goes over there, and I think it was a 10-pound slab of concrete fell on him.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So what the translator was saying, he was saying like the construction worker went over to the lady that was around that area, and there was nobody there. There's nothing, but they found a shrine in that area.
Oh wow.
But it wasn't like the last like I guess like tabloid of the white lady. In some of the security cameras, you'll see a white lady
Oh, I've
walking
seen
on
that.
base,
Oh.
and there's nothing
No,
there.
thank you.
It's like close
Nope.
to the water, right?
Yeah,
Like
it's close to the
there's
water.
like houses here or whatever, and then the
Yeah.
street it's like either 2-way or 4-way, and then there's like a body of water right here, and then she would just walk on that street.
Yeah, she's
I think
always
I've seen
there.
that.
Crazy.
But I wonder who she was, the original, right?
So
The original white lady.
I
Yeah.
think I know in the Philippines, like my cousin would tell me it was like a lady that was like raped by Japanese soldiers during World War II.
Hmm.
So it's
And
recent, like
yeah,
not
in Mexico,
1800s.
it was a mom that was, I guess, the husband went for a younger woman and drowned her kids, and then
Oh, so
I think
she's
she drowned
cursed to be
herself.
this, right?
Yeah, Okinawa, I think it's just like they just mentioned that it's like a weeping woman that if you go near her, you just die.
Yeah, don't go.
So there's a white lady for different
Cultures too, yeah.
countries and
Different
cultures.
cultures.
It's a white lady for different. It's not even for different cultures. It's different circumstances because there's
Mhm.
multiple. It's multiple things. It's multiple reasons. Like the overall, it's overall kind of umbrella term, or kind of entity that it takes when it happens around accidental death, murder, or suicide, and any kind of theme of loss, betrayed by a husband, rape, some
Besides
kind of
natural causes.
right.
Hmm.
So and because they died in that kind of tragic
Mhm.
and terrible
Circumstance.
way, or circumstance, then resides
The circumstance.
an afterlife entity of the white lady. So it can be like La Llorona, like
Yeah.
in Mexico, who then takes children from people who
Yeah.
because they their children were drowned,
Mhm.
or whatever it is. Because I mean, there's that white lady entity
Mhm.
literally in like everywhere. It's not even just
Yeah.
it's not even
Yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah,
Oh, the
yeah.
in
ring!
the
I
movies.
forgot about the
Ring.
ring.
Yeah, that
Right.
street that Cheryl was talking about, that famous street, you'll often hear a lot of taxi cab drivers talking about stories that they see, when they're driving there by themselves, looking at the rear view mirror, and there was the white lady there, and they look right or wrong, or like
There's a
there's
recent video of that.
yeah,
online.
or they're saying like there was a white lady in the corner that they saw briefly,
Mm.
and
I
that
don't
they were
like
gonna
this.
pick up, but
They
He wasn't
actually
there.
Like it
opened
either.
the car door,
I don't like
closed
this.
it.
yeah,
He had a conversation. She wasn't responding. He turned
yeah.
around. He was like, "Where did she go? Like, did she fall out of
Yes,
the
the
taxi?
missing
Like,
the missing passenger.
happened?
Those are also good stories. Missing passenger
Oh.
stories.
So I had another one. I kind of spaced out earlier.
Yeah.
So that was my guardian story, right? Mine was creepy as heck. He said
Oh,
not to
Yours
share.
is worse.
Yeah, same place though.
you know
Well,
how
to
to
me,
pick
it's
them
worse
easy.
because it
That story
happened to
before
me.
wasn't your story? I thought that was your story.
That was my guardians, but he was telling me about it because it copied me. So I actually
Yeah,
looked up the
the
street
entity became her.
earlier. I looked up the street earlier to show you what it looks like. I don't know if can you see it? How do you show this? It's this right here. Okay, this is
Oh no, it got lost.
you don't want to show other pictures.
What if a white lady shows out of her phone?
See the blue place right there with the lady?
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so that's the building. It used to be like a bunch of currency exchange next to it. Now it's giant buildings.
mm.
So you saw that gate, right? So across the street from that is the school, but it's
Mhm.
fenced. You only go out in front of the Catholic church. So once you
Mhm.
cross the street, it's not very big street. You get across and then you pass all these currency exchange people. Because at lunchtime, I have a pass to go home to eat lunch.
Yeah.
So
yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
my guardian gets ready in the morning, I go to school and then he leaves. He goes back to his home in Pasay and then goes to work, then brings me lunch. This poor guy. But anyway, so I don't see him get ready. I don't know what he wears for the day, right? I turn around to face that gate and I saw him peek out of it and he said, "Hi, let's go." I said, "Okay." So I run. I go up second floor. He's not there, but there's no food. So if he's collecting rent, he didn't even leave the food. Like, why the heck would he carry bags and bags of food and collect rent? That's just stupid, right?
Mm.
So me, little brat, I'm just annoyed because I have like an hour break or whatever. And I was complaining. I'm like, where the heck? So I went to every single room. Is Papa here? I call him Papa. Is Papa here? Nope, haven't seen him. Go downstairs, go back outside. One way in, one way out, right? Unless you go through the Nepomuceno house, which that's rude, right? So so I said, what the heck? Where'd he go? So I'm frustrated. I sit in this egg crate bed that's rolled up that I told you guys about. Just sweating because it's hot as hell. And complaining. And I'm almost like in tears. Like, what the heck? I'm so hungry, whatever. I gotta go back to school. He walks in, drenched in sweat. Okay. The same outfit I saw him in when he said, "Let's go." I didn't see him get ready for the day. Dark teal color, with white and teal striped clothes,
Mhm.
black pants, brown shoes, brown belt. Still remember to this day.
Oh, scary.
And go up because I'm so sorry I'm late. The traffic in Santa Cruz is so bad. I said, Dad, Papa, why didn't you just leave the food on the table? I saw you earlier. Why didn't you just leave the food? I just got here. I said, no, I saw you earlier. You're wearing the same thing. You said, let's go. And then I followed you and you were gone. Honey, I just got here. So he went to this
More
ambulario
shells.
because I'm not going.
Yeah.
Right? 'Cause
Where
I don't
and where
wanna
are
know-
these ambularios? Like, are they just like
I
with a
know,
business
great
card
question.
ambulario of this
Because-
district?
Because
Like,
I thought they're in provinces. We're in
Yeah, me
Manila.
too.
So I'm like,
very
where did
rare
you
in
go?
Manila.
Right? But I don't want to know. So he
Yeah.
said that this lady
Gonna
does
find
this
them.
water in a bowl and then the candle and then chants some
Yes.
crap, chants
Candle
some
and
stuff and
water.
says, well, the same white lady that copied your daughter copied you and told her it's
Oh.
time to eat. So let's go. But unfortunately, it wasn't him. So that whole time that I'm running around all over the building looking for him, but I
was-
refuse to go to the third floor because it's completely vacant. I still have goosebumps.
Yeah.
And that's where we hang our clothes on the third floor because it's abandoned, right? I never go there. You want me to get clothes? I don't give a shit. I go naked. I'm not going up there, right? And it's like, yeah, she copied me, is what Ambulario said, playing with you. I said, perfect. Now I'm really never gonna live in the Philippines. Like, when is the flight to America, right?
No thanks.
Yeah.
Nope.
That's why I told her, like, I can be outside in pitch black darkness, picking
It's
up
alright.
dog poo
Yeah.
right here, right? I don't care, right? You can be howling coyotes. I don't care. Philippines, don't even shut the
I
lights.
hear you.
Don't
Yeah.
look another way.
Wow.
Go and stare at
Brown
me
out.
like I'm
Yeah.
not doing crap.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Close the
Your
light.
story
No way.
about your guardian, you know,
It's
with
dark
the
in that street. I'm not going
yeah,
there.
your story about the
You're on your
guardian
own.
where he's missing items. It triggered a story, and this is my dad's story. So my dad,
Mhm.
as a little boy, he's the oldest of three kids, and his dad was always working, so his mom was a stay home, and they lived in the province of Tarlac. Tarlac was their city, and so they're Kapampangan. I don't know how to say any
Yeah,
much
that's right.
words from that,
From
but
Pangasinan. Yeah.
yes. And so he said when he was little, they had a young woman who was their help, right? So I guess with three kids, my grandmother, who was also a seamstress, she would need somebody to help with some chores around the house. So they hire this young girl. And she looks decent enough, young enough. And, you know, with my dad and his siblings, they're busy going to school and back and forth. So they just sometimes see her when they're coming home from school, and she should have like snacks ready or be folding clothes.
Right.
But more often than not, because he was the oldest, you know, he was, I guess, more observant with this girl. And she will always be like talking to herself. So she'll be folding the clothes or something or whatever chore, and she'll be having a conversation, but not with anyone that my dad could see. And
Perfect.
so and sometimes she would giggle, like it's like the conversation was interactive enough that there's enough of a content that she's not just like talking to herself. She would giggle. So who knows, but sometimes he'll be brave enough to ask, oh, did you call me or are you talking to me? And she's like, oh, no, I'm not, sorry, like just ignore me. But then sometimes he'll persist, who are you talking to? And so one day this girl said, oh, it's a friend of mine, don't mind us, right? And so my dad's like, I don't see anybody. So he tells his mom then. And my grandmother also was very, very scared about these things, right? It's like, I don't want anybody in my house who brings these spirits or however friends, other entities into my house, but they don't do anything at first, right? Because they're like, let's give her the benefit of the doubt. But then certain things start to go missing. And so they're like, we don't want to like accuse her of being a thief, but let's ask all the kids, hey kids, have you seen this missing whatever? No. And then of course they ask this young girl, and she will be quite offended. Why would you blame me just because I'm the help? Like you think I would, resort to this? And so ultimately her behavior, I guess, kept going. That's such that then my grandmother then observed it, that she's just chatting to herself. And then when my grandmother was brave enough to ask, same answer, oh, don't mind me, it's just my friend. And so finally, I think they've had enough of it, also with the missing items that ultimately turn up. But it's just discombobulating, right? And this strange girl who she doesn't live with them, but she'll go back home and forth and stuff like that. That one day they decided, you know what, we can't continue having you as our help. We'll have to let you go. And so she was not happy at all about that, because this was income for her. But there's nothing that you can do, right? So my dad said the first evening that she left, so they sleep in their beds on top of those like straw mats too, like a bed, but then banig. Yeah, they put banig because it's warm, it's hot. You don't want the mattress to take your pawis, your sweat in it. So there's a banig to keep you cool. And of course, there's a mosquito netting over their beds, right?
It makes it even hotter.
Yeah. So that night they went to sleep, and this was the first night that, of course, the help wasn't going to come the following day. And he said, right in the middle of the night, it started to feel like something was falling on them.
Nice.
From the mosquito net, and they all woke up, and they're like in different rooms, and they didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And then when they turn on the light, it was raining sand from their mosquito nets into their beds, a bunch of sand.
And it was actual sand.
Oh, no.
And so they got all freaked out. I don't know if they called the ambulario to like cleanse the house of all these things, but like the girl never showed up again. They never wanted her back. But that was sort of like the thanks for firing me. Here you go.
Here's
My
some
friend's
sand.
gonna get revenge on you. So I
Wow.
thought, like, I kept on asking my dad, what do you mean sand, right? Like he's like, sand, buhangin. Like it was just right all over our
Sand,
bodies and our hairs and the banig. We had to like clean our bedrooms and sweep it off our
Weird.
floors.
And the house was
So-
cemented, right?
It was
it's not like-
it was cemented, but you could sweep it off. But like where would it come from, right? It's like I
So
think
the house
it's
is
just-
not falling apart or anything.
It's
like
not
that.
falling
Yeah.
apart. It was just, and then they look at the mosquito nets, like nothing on top of it.
And sand,
all
those
of the
doesn't
sand-
really go through.
No, it was
mosquito
just
nets,
within
it's
their
fine.
beds, like all over their beds, like a revenge
Nice.
sandstorm. So
At
yeah.
least it's
Amor,
well
did you
baked,
actually
very-
turn your shirt inside out? Did you actually do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Good for you. You know what?
I'm covering my bases, man.
You know what?
That's why I went off camera
There's
for a
Rob.
second. I just did a quick.
We're inviting them with our stories.
But I
You
remember
know.
Fred was saying your dad was like very like rich with these kinds of scary stories too. I don't know if you want to bring any of those
Yeah.
lovely stories up.
Well, I mean, because he lived in San Fernando. It's a province up in north, and he would say that he his aunts and his mother, I guess, were the province's umbalarios.
Oh.
Okay.
Mm.
And so he never really like went into full detail of like what would be done, but I mean he would just hear like the chanting. He would hear or he would smell the incense. Like he would see like the candlelight and whatever. And if
You
he
can
was
be
ever
Van
hurt,
Helsing and didn't know it.
yeah, and he whenever he did get hurt, it was never like, modern medicine. It was always just a
Pilot,
series of different kind of
massages,
Massages.
right, particular oils,
snake oil.
or right, that they would rub into like whatever is hurt or whatever is, and whatever was making anybody sick, it was just kind of like natural, mashed up leaves or whatever.
This must be
or-
before Vicks.
Right.
Vicks.
Yeah. It was their Vicks. It was their version of Vicks.
Nice big
That
one.
it was, and I mean, he grew up fine, like, and healthy, but there was a time he said that he was like really, 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 really sick, like a long like fever, and that's what he did. Like, he barely remembers it because he was just so out of it. But it was his aunts came over, they put him on a particular bed. They lit candles underneath the bed,
Mhm.
and
Smoke it out, whatever.
yeah, to
Sure.
smoke it out, or and then lit like some kind of incense to get it out of him. And the next day he was fine. Like, he barely remembers like what they were saying or whatever it is.
There's a
But-
name for that with Duende. I forgot what it's called.
But it was some weird stuff. But he'd always talk about the duende. He would always talk about how he always had friends or whatever who were missing stuff, or they would call out into the bushes and be like, "Hey, like I'm chilling here, like we're playing
Mhm.
here or whatever." But I mean, I'd imagine it has to do with his aunts being Umbalario. And then he'd always talk about that damn tree. He'd talk about how he'd never want
I
to
wonder what
cross
same
that
guy.
tree.
The poor
He-
guy.
He would always be like, I always had to cross it during the day. I was fine, but if ever I had to stay late, to
Yeah.
do some kind of project or whatever, like, it was the worst, because obviously it wasn't like an ultra busy street. Yes, it was one of the main roads of the
Mhm.
place, but he lived out in the provinces. It's not like it was like super busy. So there were times where he would have to just wait there for a while just so he can cross with a tricycle, cross with a
That's
car.
probably something you'd do.
Yeah, I would too. I mean, if I mean, he's
I wonder
would
if there's
too.
like a particular type of tree that is more or less a haunted
The
tree, like a
oldest
magnolia
It
tree.
just has to
or,
be old and really
Yeah.
tall,
yeah,
right? It
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
to be an old
like,
tree.
what would be that magnet tree for these superstitious?
You know, we have
Scary.
the scary
folk.
willow tree. Is that called willow tree?
Yeah.
Right.
With
Mhm.
rings coming down.
Yes.
A
Right.
basic horror movie scene.
sure. And most of the stuff that he
Sure.
talks about are with like spirits or things he hears or things that he's heard or things that like he's heard. Like it typically surrounded like whenever, like one time one of his or no, it was after his dad had passed, and they were all like, him and his siblings were all together, and they were all together in one of my uncle's homes, and their dad's like go-to thing to do was always to make himself coffee and stir it up with his spoon. And so in the morning, if you were up early enough, you'd always hear him clinking and clanking his spoon to make coffee. And so the couple days after he had passed, they were all together, because they're gathering for to remember him. In the morning, nobody was awake, nobody was out of their bed, nobody was up. They'd always like for sure hear the clanking of the
Hmm.
spoons
That's when you sleep
out of the kitchen. And it was like a, but the thing is, like, he wasn't scared of it. It's like the thing is like I was never really scared because at least I knew who it was.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
whenever he talked
Yeah,
about like the
sure.
spirits and stuff, he was just like,
Sure.
it happens. And like whenever he talks about like those kind of spirits, he's chill about it because at least he knows, or he knows that it's
Yeah.
not malicious. It's not malicious.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's
Right.
interesting how, we have these stories that are like really supernatural, not human entities or so. And then we have also these direct ghost stories, like
Yeah.
or ghost stories based on relatives, right? So I mean, my mom's side of the family, their family business was funeral homes in
Nice.
Mindoro, and I grew up. Sorry, more,
Never
but I
going
grew
there.
up. What's it called? Like there's,
No.
you know, like they actually went from the manufacturing even of coffins. So there's always like the smell of wood, like beautiful coffins, and the Philippine coffins are so ornate, so gorgeous. And there's also the
Are you
area where
shooting?
they showcase the different
Yes.
coffins, but also next door is the morgue where they would bring the deceased and prepare them, right? But I was never afraid going through these
You're used to it.
areas. And so there's really,
You're
you know,
crazy.
like coming from that kind of a background, I've never seen any supernatural ghosts or whatever. And yet these kinds of stories always make me get goosebumps. But I've never had any direct. And from my mom's like the house there in Mindoro, it's like a compound situation where the business is right beside it. So from my Lola's house, I would have to cross over like this expansive area, which to a little girl it looks expansive, to get to the Bahay Kubo, right? Which is like towards the end of the backyard. And that's where we kind of sit and have tea because it's airy.
Yeah.
But you would be
We
walking.
is the word there. We.
Yeah. we would I would have to pass by the morgue. I would
No
see
thanks.
if it's empty, you know, nobody's on the tile because it's made of
Table.
tiles in the tile room.
Horse
And I see
vipers.
all the and I see all the tools hanging. Right. And I'm
Oh,
always so
Nope.
fascinated with my uncles going through all the different tools with me and
What were
what
the
they
tools?
do. Like saws,
me.
band
he lost
saws,
Ju-
things
Jules
like
on
I'm
that.
never
that.
He's
going
like,
on a trip
nope,
with her by
nope,
myself.
nope.
And then
Yeah.
also the different
Nope.
and I remember like one trip too, because like then we had lived in Brunei, but every time I go, I would try to go to like these shopping kind of ordering expeditions with one of my titos as they buy like different types of formalin, which is how you preserve the body. And at a certain point, you actually start putting a tint, a pink tint in the formalin. So when you actually put it in the body, they look rosy. Right. So
So
that's
they
another
don't look
technique
scary.
that we would do for preparing. But like, yeah, my mom and her brothers, none of them are like official mortuaries, but they were also, I guess, trained enough to like learn how to do the makeup for deceased servicings and stuff like
even
that.
do mine.
Right. But again, I've never had the experience to actually come face to face with any supernatural entities. And
None
I
of
would
you?
like, I don't know, I think I would like to experience that. I'm
I think
always like
that's why
trying to
she's
go on
hungry
ghost
for it.
tours.
You don't.
I
You
haven't
don't. You don't
never
want it.
experienced
I have a
Yeah.
story.
Oh, Nikki has a story.
What?
And this is Canada.
This is Canada. So my brother, he's 4 years younger than me. I remember when he was 2, he'd always be in his room, and he's autistic as well, so just that background. But he'd always be laughing and staring at the corner of his room. Some of it might think it's because he's autistic, but then also my parents were wondering if he's actually seeing someone in the corner of his bedroom, because he's always laughing, and he was 2. And so they ended up bringing in like a priest to start blessing the house. And I just remember when the priest got to the kitchen and started blessing the kitchen, a lot of the pots and pans on the kitchen counter started like jumping and falling onto the ground. And there was no wind, nobody was pushing it. And that was
It's
something
gonna
I
be a
remember
strong wind
when
to
I
knock those
was
down.
when I was young.
About
That
6.
kind of happened in our house. And my dad was always saying, like,
more
after
hard
that
to believe.
blessing, our house was blessed because our neighbors kept moving. So like our next door neighbor to the right, we probably had 5 different neighbors that kind of came and went. Our neighbor to the left had like, again, several going.
residents.
Our neighbor 2 doors over was like a family friend, and they ended up having like a murder suicide going on there. So I don't know if there was something in that neighborhood
Yeah,
that was kind of.
When you plant a neighborhood, who were the original entities?
It used to be
there?
like an apple orchard, and
apple
it might have been
orchard.
like a
Indigenous
like a
field.
cemetery or something in there before. But
Oh no.
I just remember that was something that happened when I was
And
young.
dating, I knew this about that story because he had one of the stories he shared with me, but I never felt anything either in his house. So I guess it's really
Maybe the
blessed.
spirits left already or
Yes.
something.
And this
but-
is it too. Like my mom too, whenever we move to a new home or however, it's so important for her to have a priest come in and do a house blessing. I don't know about you guys or your
We did the
families and
same.
stuff. right?
Yeah.
But the priest would always come for an afternoon, and they would bless all the different corners of the house. And it doesn't matter which priest sometimes, as long as it's blessed in the name.
Are
of
there also like superstitions where you're not supposed to have your door open to the stairs, and
Yeah,
if there
there's
is,
all
you
these
should put
different-
like a mirror or something?
Yeah.
The feng
Have you guys
shui
heard about
thing.
That's feng shui.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My door
Yeah,
open to the
that's why it's a
stairs.
great movie.
Ours too, actually. I have a mirror there.
Ours
But
too,
she
right?
But I think
Yeah.
part of it is your
Right.
money keeps
Okay.
leaving and goes to Lego. I think that's the part of the
Oh.
superstition.
Mm.
You know, when
Okay.
the door opens to the
I don't have
stairs.
stairs in my apartment, but that's probably what's happening. I don't know. Somehow.
Same.
Yeah.
You got Lego Duende, dude. You gotta build it. You gotta build
I'm fine
it.
with that. I'm fine with that.
Go build it a jazz club, or build it a police station. You know,
That's
The
gonna be
village, the Viking village.
that's
I
gonna be
want
my
a Lego
excuse
Duende.
next
For my
time.
brick.
Yeah, that's gonna be my excuse. The Lego Duende
Wait.
brought it.
have
The
none,
Lego
have none of you
My
ever
money's missing.
experienced? Have none of you ever experienced just like firsthand
No,
paranormal kind of activity?
no, but it
Is
was
mine not
it-
considered
no. With mine, it's not that I
You
felt
have
it.
one?
No, I've never felt it, but
What the crap?
it's you always have that feeling as a kid, because of the stories that they tell
Yeah.
you. Like at my grandpa's home at the province, it's an old Spanish style home, right? And it's a province, so it's a lot of farmland. So it's not like you have a neighbor right next to you.
Mhm.
So it's like a big farmland, yeah, in Bulacan. And I remember spending nights there because we always spent summers over there, and looking outside. I always close the shutters down because when you look to the left side of the house, it's in the daytime it's a big farm,
Okay.
but at night it's pitch black. And then down the dirt road, is one lamppost
That's good.
where the jeepney would pick up people.
Dramatic scene.
But it's one of those things as a kid, you're like, growing up and they tell you about these stories and you're like, no, I don't want to see that. I don't want to. So it basically at night, I don't walk even like to the other end of the house. I'm just in my
So
little
you didn't
bit.
see anything.
Especially
you
in
were
the
just scared.
Philippines.
Yeah, I'm just scared.
Oh, okay.
I used to work. One of my old spots I used to work was at an old. It used to be an old orphanage and halfway house. And we used to do. I used to be really active with kind of the youth group at my parish, and one of the houses was specifically for the chaperones and the help. I went and arrived there after I got off, and I was doing something else. I was late, and I had to drop off my stuff in this particular house where we, the chaperones kept their stuff. And I got there at the same time another person did, because she was also late. And so when we got in, she was like, "Oh, I already dropped off my stuff in my room, but go ahead and take your time if you want to, if you got to change or whatever, go for it." And so she stayed in the living room and was just hanging out and waiting for me. So I went down the hall, down another hall, over to where my room was, dropped off my stuff, and then got like the sweats that I was going to go and change into. And then I go to the restroom, I'm changing, kind of freshening up, and then I hear it's something like, "Hey, what's up?" or "Hey, what's up, man?" or "Hey, man." And I was like, "Oh, dude," it sounded like a buddy of mine. And I was like, "Hey, what's up, Alex? Have you been here for long?" And then I didn't get a response, and I was like, "All right, well, maybe he was just in and out of here because he had to like really quickly go grab something from his room and then go back." And so I'm done changing. And it was like super clear too. It was either "Hey, man," or "Hey,
Yeah.
dude," or like just "Hey." And I'm done, and I go back out to the living room where my friend was waiting for me. And I was like, "Hey, did Alex or did somebody else, come through here?" And then she was like, "No." And I was like, did you call out to me when I was changing or whatever? Like, did you tell me to hurry up or whatnot? She's like, "No, I didn't say anything." Like, you're on your phone. Did you like play a video or whatever? It's like, "No, I didn't. I've been looking at, text messages or whatever." And I was like, "Are you sure like nobody like went down the hall?" Because I heard it as if it was just outside the door that I was like changing. And she's like, "No, nobody's here. It's just literally you and me." Like, let's go. And I was like, all right, cool.
We're going.
Go, let's go.
God.
Good.
Let's
So I
go.
sleep here
Are you sure it
tonight.
wasn't her?
It's great.
I'm done.
Nope.
I'm
Nope.
good. I'm good. But I mean, I wasn't the only one that experienced things at that spot. But that was, I mean, that particular
Mhm.
that
Correct.
particular place was another one of those places where occasionally I would feel
Something.
something.
Not alone.
And the
A
thing is,
presence.
like, right, a presence. And so I then we had a new coworker, and after like a couple of weeks, like we were just kind of getting like I was walking with her around and kind of showing her the grounds, and she had it looked like she saw something, and then like she kind of just brushed it off, and like we just kept walking, and I was like, is something over there? And then she's like, oh no, it's nothing. And I was like, and then I told her that story. I told her that I've that happened to me, and yeah, and she's like, yeah, and I told her that there are other people that have had
Validated.
things like that happen there, yeah. And she was like, yeah, so I see shadow people. I see entities,
Oh, the Shadow Clan. Foot Clan.
and
On a
and
regular basis, or just
yeah,
in
she
that
said
hallway?
she says in a she said on a
Perfect.
regular, she's like on a regular basis. It's like,
Jeez.
okay, and she's like she said she was an empath, so she like
Yeah.
could feel whatever the
energies,
the
or
presence, the
presences.
energy is, right. And I was like, okay, so is there I remembered a story of like just in front of one of the cabins where they heard a voice and they experienced things. Is there somebody right there? And she was like, yes,
Oh,
there is.
Mhm. Mhm.
There is. And like,
Mhm.
and then I was like, and then we went into where I felt the thing, or I heard
Mm.
the thing. There's somebody here, isn't there?
yes.
And she was like, yeah, there is. And then I was like,
Wow.
and then I was like, I freaking knew it. And then I was like, do any of these follow me home, or any of us home?
Why are you
It's
asking
like-
these questions?
I wanted to know because, well, the thing is, like, because I felt this, and I mean, it's just like my dad. My dad always told me that. My dad always told me that he knew that he wasn't necessarily like really, really scared because they weren't malicious. They
Mhm.
weren't trying to
Mhm.
do anything bad to him. And
Mm.
so I never felt that way with at my workplace. Like I felt like somebody was watching me, but it wasn't like they're out to get me or they're gonna
Yeah.
do something to me
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
And
sure.
so like I was never, I mean, I was scared, but I was not like scared to where whatever. And I needed to know if it followed me home because I didn't want like it to, screw with my house. I don't want to be at home with it. Like if I just kept it at the workplace, that's fine. And she's like, no, you don't have entities that follow you home, but you have a particular entity attached to you here.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm.
And then I was like, okay. She's like, it's a shorter shadow, which leads me to believe that it's a kid.
Oh,
But
perfect.
the kid is comfortable with you, and that's why whenever you're walking around, it follows you. And like she was like, and sometimes when you're walking around, I see it holding your hand
Nope.
Mm.
because it's comfortable with
way.
you. And she's like, yeah, a couple of other people in the workplace also have a kid that is
Mm.
comfortable with them. And she's like, and then she's like, I don't have a, she's like, and I know that something's weird with somebody if there isn't like a little,
Oh.
kid.
Mm.
Good
Okay.
indicator, right?
Interesting.
Right.
Yeah.
So she was like, yeah, so you have a kid. It's not messing with you. Sometimes it likes to like, play with you, or like it likes all your little things on your desk. I had like Funko Pops and like
Right.
different like little Lego things on my desk. It's like it likes your stuff. But it doesn't follow you home. It only follows you when you're here. When you're here
It
at
won't harm you, but because of
space.
your goodness, it's comfortable
Right.
with you. That's a good.
It's comfortable with you.
Yo.
So I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, that's fine as long as it's nothing like. But then she's like, I don't. She's like, I will. She's like, I will say this though. I'm not going to go into that building there by myself. So if ever I need to go into that building, could you come with me or whatnot? And I was like,
Like, no.
Sure, I don't mind. She's like, I feel something negative
Oh,
there
okay.
Oh.
in that
You need to
one.
get a shisa.
And this is
then I was
California
like-
area too?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
That's
it used to
when
be
you're
like-
afraid to be constipated during work.
yeah.
Because I don't want anybody else holding my hand while I'm wiping myself.
Hold your hand to go to the bathroom.
Right.
Yeah. But that's where
Wow.
I experienced the majority of stuff. I've also seen stuff when I was driving through like old roads and stuff, but that's
No thanks.
Mm.
not the white lady, but I've seen a person on the road that, you know, when looking at the rear view mirror or whatever,
Yeah.
they weren't there
You're gone.
anymore.
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's a-
almost
that's a
wonder
big step.
whether even just your family history, where it seems like your dad's from a line of Ambolarios, right? That there's an entity, like there's a presence about you that may not invite
Hmm.
this, right? But it's almost common in your lineage too.
I guess.
Well,
I mean,
that
I
this
told
is
you guys my Santo Nino story, right?
Yes,
When
you
you're
and
a
your
baby?
you and
Yeah.
your Santa
Yeah,
Nino
when I was a
friend.
baby.
Cheryl hasn't
Cheryl
heard.
doesn't know.
What?
My Santo Nino story. So just for the viewers and for Cheryl and for anybody else that was curious, because it's kind of along the lines of the subject. Growing up, well, I mean, we've always had this Santo Nino. The Santo Nino, I grew up with this Santo Nino. And I was kind of born around the feast day of Santo Nino. So my name is Frederick Nino. My legal first name is Frederick Nino. But there was so when I was first born, we lived in an apartment in LA. And if ever I was woken up from a nap or whatever, I would cry. Like whenever as soon as I was awake, I would cry. If there was some kind of loud noise and I was woken up, I would cry
I think you still
as a
would.
baby. Yeah, I still do. I cry every morning, but that's a different. But I would cry, and that's my parents would know that I was awake, and any little thing too, like a honking horn out my window, whatever. I was a light sleeper, like I guess as a kid or as a child, and there was one time there was an earthquake, and it was a huge earthquake. It shook everything, and it definitely shook my crib. And my mom was like, "Oh, he's for sure gonna wake up. He's for sure gonna cry." But the earthquake passed, and she didn't hear anything, and was curious at first, like, well, "What's going on?" And then heard me laughing.
Oh, perfect.
It heard me laughing, and I was like, "That's not normal. Like, you should be you
Not for
gotta
Fred
be
anyway.
crying." Yeah, not for me, not for little infant or toddler Fred. And then so she goes closer to the room. She hears me laughing more and more, and then she goes into the room and sees me laughing and reaching out for the Santo Nino on a dresser that's kind of a couple feet away from the crib. And I'm reaching for it, and I'm laughing, and I guess what she thought was, even she wasn't really scared because it's almost just like the Santo Nino was kind of calming him. Like it was a big earthquake. And it wasn't necessarily like, malicious or whatever, but I don't know, maybe as a kid I thought it was an action figure or whatever it is, but she, believes that it's like a calming thing.
Kept
So
you
I guess
safe, calmed you.
right, keep me safe. And then I think that's why, like, whenever I, feel or anything like that, like I can at least feel if it's malicious or not. But most of the time I feel like it's not. And so I'm not like as scared as I feel like other people would be. And then I think maybe it is a lineage thing. I wouldn't be surprised. But at least in my lifetime, it hasn't ever necessarily been something negative that I've felt.
Because there's these stories again, right? That's very supernatural because they're like such foreign entities like the Tikbalang or the Capre. But then anytime that you splice it with a more religious context, I feel like takes it up a notch level in my personal fear factor, right? Like where it's a Santo Nino, which is a calming more presence, but still the fact that there's something about it that reached out to you. But then, even in our Filipino culture, there's a family friend here that we know of, and their house became some sort of a pilgrimage site at one point because
Oh.
their Mother Mary started to
Right.
sweat wax.
Oh, sweat wax.
The Mother Mary
Mm.
was like a pretty large statue, and out of her hands, it was sweating wax. And they started to collect these wax in jars and start putting them all over the house. And other Filipinos heard about this and started to go there, like sort of as a
That's in the
pilgrimage.
Philippines, right?
No, here in Canada. This was like in the 90s. It was
Oh.
Marcy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Marcy.
And so I don't know what happened since. Even when I see her, I don't ask about it anymore. But I remember my mom, I didn't even realize it was happening until my mom's like, oh, me and, this tita, we're going to go to visit this house.
This
And
was like just in our neighborhood.
yeah, just in our neighborhood.
It's
And
close to us.
let's go. It's a Filipino family, but their Mama Mary is dripping wax, and maybe that wax will be blessed. So let's try to see if we can get one. Now, I don't know if they charge. I don't know if this was a ploy. I don't know. But I went, and like their family room, the entire surrounding was just jars of wax, and such that they would have like, interspersed like different candles between, but like the wax that they actually get from this Mary, it would just be collected in like small containers, and other Filipino families would get it. I don't know what happened since, because it clearly isn't a thing anymore, and I don't know how to explain it. But then we see the Mother Mary source, and sure enough, it looks like she is like sweating in wax. I have no, and part of it is our culture is such that, when your mom says, yeah, let's just go, you're not as afraid. And then when you see Mother Mary, you're not as afraid again, right? It's almost like a commonality, because we do have enough churches where they have relics of saints. Like
Yeah.
you go to a Montreal church and there's like the femur bone of this past monk saint. It's more often than not that a lot of these very big cathedrals and churches have a remnant. And as a faith believer, you pray to it, and part of it is it will give you some cure. So I know a lot of places, a lot northern churches here too, you can see at the back of the altar a bunch of crutches that faith believers, when they go there, they're probably on crutches, and then they pray enough, and then they probably walk out ailment free, and then leave their crutches
Mhm.
behind. But I heard that was like Lourdes is the same. Like my mom's been to Lourdes, and it's very interesting, right? Like that other bit of supernatural entity where you give over some sort of faith divine to cure you, and you leave these things. So I don't know, like there's the scary things like the aswangs and white
Yeah.
ladies, and then these kinds of
The
stories
faith
too,
healers.
that you go because
Oh,
on behest of that super other natural entity that you put your faith into. But my mom would always say, don't be scared of the dead, be afraid of the living. And this is from
Exactly.
from the funeral home basis again, because he's like, the dead, they're gone, like they're very harmless, they're gone. But the ones who are alive, they could still have evil intentions against you. So never be afraid of the dead, be afraid of the living. But not all living, but like, you know what I mean?
Like the
in terms of
supernatural
harm,
living.
not the supernatural. If
Walking
anything,
Dead?
just maybe give a prayer. My mom's like, if you see something and I never did, maybe sometimes it's that soul asking for prayers. My mom's always a believer of that. Pray for all the souls in purgatory and
Mm.
whatnot. But my mom lately and always dreams so vividly. I get frustrated with her, because when I call her in the mornings before I go to work, she's like, oh, I had a dream again. I'm like, oh my God, just tell them to stay away from you, is what I'll tell her, because she will dream about past
Oh,
relatives.
see there.
She will dream about, like an aunt who passed away already, my dad who passed away a few years ago. And I keep telling her, don't entertain them. Tell them you have a lot of living to do. You still have a cruise to go to. But she's like, yeah, I'm just going to send out a prayer to them, because I think that's what they want from me, as her mindset. But some of these dreams are so vivid again, and so extensive, I think, that she wakes up tired, as if she went on a journey. And I'm like, can you stop? Can you just stop sleeping?
Wow.
Like, what were you watching the night before? Bachelor? Yeah, just think of that. And so, but my
Right.
mom has sort of like this, like Fred, some sort of a link where she always likes to. She's not afraid of it, and she'll try to loop it into like they need her prayers. They're just asking for company. But I'm always telling her, if like I think a story earlier was, she had someone, a deceased relative, wanted her to go with them in the jeepney.
This is a dream.
Yeah, a dream. And she's like, she couldn't find the correct change in her pockets to go. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not giving you any money. You are not going anywhere. Like, you are staying put. I'm like, good thing you didn't go. So I don't know what these dreams mean, how they're reaching out. My mom otherwise is a very, very healthy 70-year-old Zumba going woman, right? Like, she is no way, knock wood, ill hill, but she does dream a lot. And I don't know what dreams also lead us to other kinds of stories, right?
Yeah.
That's super.
Amor, any fun ghost stories?
So, in regards to some of the things we talked about, I remember my mom telling stories when I was younger. So I recognize a lot of like the beliefs of the ghosts, or like some of like the aswang and the duende, and like I've heard a lot of these growing up. And so as far as experiencing them, my wife definitely believes in the last place we lived that there was something there, like there was a spirit
Mm.
there. And
What happened?
it was always when she would be in one of the bedrooms. Actually, funny story. It was where our oldest child, when she was a baby, that like it was her room
Mm.
that my wife would always like sense something. She always felt like she wasn't, like they weren't alone in there, and always felt like there was something, either like a presence of some kind. And she was always convinced it would always be when I wasn't home working late
Mm-hmm.
at the office, and she'd be home alone, and she'd be like, I swear there's something here. Like she yeah, to this day, like I'll bring it up right around this time of year. It's like, remember that thing, that ghost or something in our last
So, do you know
our
like
last
how old the house was, or
Well,
is there
it was-
anything around it, like trees?
So it was an apartment complex, and it was actually, yeah, the last apartment we lived in before we bought a house. And actually, it's not far from where we live now. But yeah, she always brings like, when I talk about ghosts and spooky things, she's like, I still swear there's something. And she's like, it was always when you weren't home, and it was always late. I'd be with the baby, and I would feel like there was just something around
Watching.
there. And she to this day, she's still convinced that there was something going on in that place. That's the closest thing in terms of, and of course, like I said, my mom had a bunch of stories of her growing up in the Philippines and things like that, but I don't remember all the details to retell them. But in terms of like actually living anything, I personally have not had any of those experiences. Maybe I'm just, maybe I just don't sense that sort of thing. Maybe I don't have that.
Or you're lucky.
Yeah, or I'm lucky, and I'll take it. I'll take it. But like I said, and that's the thing. Like with the story my wife had, it was always like it's always when you weren't home. She's like, you would be staying
Maybe you need
late.
to call Fred's friend
Yeah.
and ask her.
Yeah. Yeah. And so she was always convinced. She was like, I hated that last place we lived at for that
Wow.
reason. Because it always felt like there was something in our child's room. And I was like, that's cool.
Yeah. I missed it out again. But
Yeah,
like,
and I
that-
would
Like, bro.
Yeah, and I'd go in the room and be like,
Crazy.
maybe I just
happening.
don't sense it as like
Yeah.
so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But Fred's friend who's the empath, like I wonder how many people are out there. It's like the movie Sixth Sense, right? With
Yeah.
Right.
Joel Osment, like when this little boy can see ghosts.
Spoiler
That's what he
alert.
said. I see dead people. And what a great twist in the end. But I wonder again how many people are so in tune with that, I don't know, borderline universe, like another it's just like a curtain. Sometimes you'll see that, right? They'll say that phrase, the in-between zone. Like when someone passes away, they're kind of here. That's another thing
Limbo.
in my family too. Like if someone passes away, they're still kind of here for the next 24 hours. So you try to make their you tell them it's okay to go somewhere more peaceful. It's something that I grew up with, where they could still be here. They might want to say goodbye to certain things, but again, like I've never physically felt a presence. Even when my dad was quite ill and dying, one of the things I told him was, "Hey, I want you to haunt me. Like I want you, like part of it is I want you to
That
give
was
me
the
a
opposite.
I want you to give me a definition that there's something beyond this."
So whenever the lights flicker, you're always
Yeah,
saying that that's your
no,
dad.
no. I mean, and then I don't know if
Something
you also have heard the entity where, when someone's visiting you, who's already passed on, you might see a moth.
Yeah.
Right. So I feel like around my dad's
Butterflies.
anniversary, or yeah, there's always like a moth by our front door.
You think
And
it's your dad?
kind of it reminds me, oh yeah, it's my dad's anniversary or something like that. And I remember him. I mean, not that I not think of him every day, but something like that. That's more of a physical thing, that moths also somehow convey a symbol of someone's soul, right? Someone
Yeah.
who wants you to remember them and stuff. But
Yeah,
I don't
so
know,
like
it just-
when I moved here, August of '96, I moved from Manila, Philippines to Chicago. or the suburbs of Chicago, Grace Lake, Illinois.
Mhm.
A few months later, so I moved here August 96, and May 97, my mom passed away. But I was walking around, trying to look at this place because it's really beautiful where we lived. So I was just walking the street just by myself, daylight, very bright. And I'm not a bug person, butterfly. I don't like them. Like if you were to
Mm.
take me to Butterfly Wonderland, I'd probably bring my zapper.
Yeah.
Like it's not happening. So I saw this black butterfly, it just kept following me, and then my chest just felt like I'm not
Heavy.
afraid, but it felt weird.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
something is really off. I think somebody passed away.
Mhm.
And then my guardian called my dad and said my mom passed away. She died in a house fire. And I said, yeah, I know.
Wow.
How did you know? 'Cause my dad got mad because he thought that my guardian called me first before
Yeah,
him.
yeah, yeah.
I said, nope, I just knew.
That
Yeah.
sense.
And I said, I
Mm.
think
Yeah.
sometimes we have like that sensitive part of us. And I swear to
Mhm.
God, when somebody told me like maybe you're this, it's some type of like medium, you need to focus on it. I said, hell no.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said, no, I don't want
yeah,
any of that. And
yeah.
just
Yeah.
like my friend Evie, as well, she's a very Catholic person. And as I told my eldest, we were driving home from somewhere in Gilbert, and I said, I have to call Evie. She goes, why? I don't know. I had a dream last night holding a baby boy, and it's Evie's child. And I'm not going to tell you the other funny part of the story because it's kind of, it's not, I'm going to tell it. But so I called her and I said, I had a dream about you last night. I'm holding a baby and you're trying to make me breastfeed your baby. And I said, that's weird. And he goes, shut up. I said, what? I'm pregnant. I'm about to announce to my family. And I'm like, huh?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
she was like, you always do this to me. So again, with her, we were at her house and her sister-in-law was there, and I was so nervous. I was in front of her, and I'm social but introvert at the same time. Like I'm not the one to open the conversation if I don't know people. And I sat next to Evie and this sister-in-law of hers, and I said, "Hey, I'm really really nervous for her, but I don't know why." And I said, I really don't want to say it, so don't say anything because I'm feeling death. And he goes, "Oh my God, what are you talking about?" So a week later, she announced she's pregnant. 2 weeks later, she lost it.
Mm.
And I said, I really felt like it has something to do with it because I said that night, she said they're leaving super early in the morning. Well, first they're gonna go clubbing in Phoenix, and then they're gonna go hiking first thing in the morning. He goes, we're not gonna get any sleep. I said, something is wrong and it's not good for her body. And
Mhm.
he thought, because of what she's doing, and I'm a mom of 4, I'm just worried.
Mhm.
Because you're just overthinking it. I said, and then 2 weeks later, she told me, oh, it's horrible. She lost her baby.
Oh
I
wow.
was like, well, I told you, remember? It goes, yeah, I know. So she's like, it's just crazy.
Wow.
But but I'm like, I haven't felt like I only felt something here once, and it
In
was
your
for
house?
yeah. So this is after it was blessed. I felt one, and
Like
my
that
third daughter,
house?
yes, and my third daughter felt one. So I was pregnant with our youngest, and so I already had my third, obviously.
Mhm.
We're sitting on the couch. I'm a night person. I watch
Mhm.
TV in the dark. I love supernatural stuff, but I wasn't
Mhm.
watching it then because my daughter is there, but she's playing with my iPhone.
Mhm.
So we're in the dark watching TV. It was 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. It was after midnight. And my brother-in-law's room, if Fred remembers, is by the entrance of the house, and the water's all the way on the other side of the house. And his habit when he walks is he always does this to his shirt. Like he always does this to his shirt. So I saw a shadow behind me because the kitchen is behind me and we have the under cabinet lights. So if somebody passes behind me, the light goes to the living room as a shadow in front of the
Okay.
TV. So I saw his shadow go over there, and then I heard the water machine. I said, oh, okay, he's getting water. And then I saw him go back again. I said, oh, I didn't even see him go back to his room, but now I'm hearing him again going that way. And I'm like, I'm not hearing his footsteps. It's a heavy guy, loud slippers. I said, I'm not hearing his footsteps. So I stood up. John, no answer. Okay, I sit down. So I sit on my one leg, my left leg, so that if I see him again, I can stand up right away, right? Because I'm pregnant. It's hard for me to move. I see it again. Stood straight up. Like, there's no one here. And Elena, my third, gets up and says, "Who was that?" So what? Who was that?
She's
So you saw it too? Yeah, I saw something there. And I'm like, perfect. But that's
Where's your dad?
girl, right? So he wasn't even home. I find out he wasn't
Oh.
home. So I'm cracking up,
Oh.
go upstairs and tell all my sister-in-law and her friends. I just saw something downstairs, but I'm not scared, but I'm cracking up.
Yeah, yeah,
Because
yeah.
Elena validated I saw something. And then when this was our master, I went in and his grandma was still here from the Philippines. My daughter was laying on top of the pillows, staring at the top of the bathroom door. Just like this, not moving. Like, "Hey, what are you doing?" You know, "Hey, what are you doing?" She's not moving at all. She's not even blinking. I said, "Hoy, what are you doing? You're scaring me." He said, "Don't move."
Oh.
Who said don't move?
Ooh.
That black guy. What black guy?
Oh, that's why that's a Lego room now.
Oh
Like, I'm ready to
no.
like beat up. I
Nope.
thought some black guy, was in my house. So I'm like, what are you talking about? His grandma walks in and goes, "She saw it too." And I'm like, what
What?
are you talking about?
Fred slept in that room, right?
I did.
Yes.
I did.
I'm never
did.
I
visiting.
never felt
I was
anything
intrigued by the food.
Nope.
Yeah.
Nothing that there's
That's
no
why they're trying to. That's why
food
they're feeding Fred all this
that
food.
that could get me to stay in that room.
But
Yeah,
I
I'm
was
good.
like, what do
No
you mean
thanks.
it's seeing it too?
Wow.
I'm like, what are you guys seeing? So me cracking up, because when I'm scared, I crack up, go straight to the pantry, grabs a leftover holy water,
Yeah.
and I started going like this. I could not remember the words to Our Father.
Oh.
It was
Wow.
freaking me the F out. I said,
Wow.
what are, so I had to Google it and then read it because I couldn't remember it. I went to a
Wow.
Catholic school.
Yeah.
I couldn't remember Our Father, right? So
Yeah.
I had to read it, and I'm cracking up,
Wow.
and his grandma's just laughing at me. I'm like, you're crazy.
Wow.
But nothing after that. Thank God.
Was
I mean, I didn't
Carl
feel
wasn't home.
anything in there.
No, I
that,
actually blocked it off my memory, and so thanks
And
for
now it's
bringing
been
it back again.
resurfaced.
Oh, he's scared of his own
The
house
whole
now.
story. Because anytime I bring it up, he
Yeah.
either disappears from the room or he tells me to shut up.
Yeah, I
Like
every
he
time she
doesn't like
says
to
that,
hear
I
it.
don't,
would
I don't
too.
like to hear it.
Like he just goes away. He's just gone.
How old is your house? Like, is it like it's like
10
a new
years.
house and you
No,
bought it?
It's a
10
new
years.
build.
It's a new build. It's not an Indian
Oh,
reservation. And it was after it was baptized. But it was just those two things. But Elena's the only one that scared me. But my experience with my brother-in-law shadow, that was just funny to me. That wasn't scary to me. It didn't feel scary.
Mhm.
It felt
Mhm.
excuse me, it felt funny.
Hmm.
But her staring like this, not moving. She said,
Yeah,
"Don't move." I'm like, what do you
that's
mean?
Next
Yeah.
level.
Don't move.
Yeah.
She's a toddler. So I was like, no.
Yeah. Harold, any stories from your mom or dad?
Not from my like my cousins when we were in the Philippines. They always tell me like, "Oh, don't go in the jungle at night." And I was like, "Why would I ever go in the jungle at night?"
Right?
Why?
No people.
Just in case you were thinking about it.
My Lola's house is like in the mountains of Cavite. So
Oh shoot.
you would hear like there was a baby crying, and I was like, "Why is
Oh,
the baby
okay.
like crying right now?" So in Filipino folklore, if you hear a baby in the jungle, don't go looking for it.
Almost like a mermaid siren, right?
Yeah,
Mm.
like
And you heard that?
I heard it like at night, and I was like, I can't sleep. There's a baby crying in the middle of the night. My cousins, I don't know if they were teasing me or whatnot, but they were like, we didn't hear anything. And I was like, oh, hell's no. I was 13 at the time. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whoa.
done with
Don't do it.
Yeah. But
Go in the
like,
jungle.
what's
Calling to
funny
you.
is, like, if you find the baby, don't touch it. Like this. the
Don't
baby
even
will
look for
turn
it.
into a monster and like eat you. And then turn back
Yeah,
to the
what are
baby.
those called? I
Yeah,
remember there's
China.
like
Wow.
They're
They're
China.
called
China.
China.
China,
Yeah.
and it's it's spelled with T.
T.
I have no idea.
Tianak, because the
I spell it the way it sounds. So I have
Tianak,
no idea.
Tianak. But
Like,
yeah,
when
that's
we were
right.
talking
That's
about
another one.
Dresse, I couldn't watch that episode because they were talking
Oh,
about
it was there.
it was there, and I was like, "Oh hell's nope."
Mm.
But
Tianak, yeah.
that freaked me out.
Tianak is a vampiric creature in the Philippine mythology that takes on the form of a toddler or baby.
Yeah.
Although there are various types, it typically takes the form of a newborn baby and cries in the jungle to attract unwary travelers.
Yeah,
Diana.
nope.
You are that traveler.
Wow.
Yeah, I was visiting. But yeah, it was like
Oh
freaked me
yeah,
out.
yeah.
And like going back to Okinawa, that's where I was stationed at. So I remember I was on duty. So duty is 24 hours. You're there just to monitor like blood products in case some hospital needs it, right? I kid you not, like around 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, I hear typing. Like
Em?
from one of the offices when I was doing my rounds. And I was like, Miss Kamova, are you still
No!
here?
Roulette in suspense.
Yeah, no. And then I was like, nobody's here. Her light's on. She never leaves her light on. Turn it off. Like a couple hours later, go back around. I hear this, and I was like, oh no. But this is from my metal director's office. Lights on. I was like, somebody's playing a prank on me. So I was like, on our group chat, I was like, if you're here, please do not come. I'm locking up the I'm locking up the flashlight.
Oh my
But
god.
3 o'clock, one of the rooms where we do our screenings for our blood donors drops to 20 degrees, like 20 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh.
It's in the middle of summer, so all the other rooms were all normal except for that room. But it kept going off like at 3 a.m. for like the last like 20, 30 minutes. And I was like, what the hell? Look it up. And I was like, if there's like entity, like temperature drops.
Yeah.
In that room, when I told
right.
our like civilian, our Okinawa civilians, they said like, oh yeah, like usually like a lady. And I was like, oh no, I'm closing that. Everyone closed the door. Like I was like, I'm just gonna disable the alarm so I can sleep at night. And then my metal director says like, oh yeah, you saw the lady? And I was like, I am not seeing anything. I'm just gonna look at myself
Not
in the
going
duty room.
to.
I did not look for them.
Yeah, I
Nope.
did not look for them. I just
I
closed
did
the
not
door.
invite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But because like Okinawa, it's a graveyard, the whole island.
Mm-hmm,
Or-
mm-hmm.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's just like it's
The
creepy. That was
history
like
there
the
is
only
crazy
instance
too.
where I'm like, no.
What do you do too, since you're like an officer, right? Or military person?
Yeah, I was a petty officer.
Like if they tell you to go there, you have no choice but to go there, right? Like
Yeah.
they say, go see who is typing, and you're like, hell's no. Like, you can't do that, right?
Sure. But
Yeah.
he was saying
They
because
order you.
it's the second tour there, and he was like, when he was standing duty, yeah, like weird stuff will happen. You'll hear like a door open and nobody else is in the room, or the lights. And I was like, this is a brand new facility. It's like only 5 years old.
Oh wow.
So
It's what it's
kinda
on.
creepy. And then, like, I remember my son was 2 or 3 years old, staring at like in Japan. Storage is actually pretty cool. On top of the closet is another like closet up top. If you've seen The
Yeah.
Grudge, like the
The
little
Grudge.
door,
I was
like,
gonna say The
opens
Grudge.
up.
Oh God.
So just like laughing in the middle of the night, and I was like, mm. So I started opening up
What a
all
creep.
the things. Yeah, but
Lock
yeah,
it up.
that was, and he just stopped laughing after that, and I was like, oh, thank goodness.
Why do they do
Wow.
that? They're making
But
it
that's true too,
scary.
right? You hear stories of like young children, especially more in
They're just
tune
open.
to these
Yeah.
creatures,
Yeah.
these entities,
Our
right?
oldest,
Oh yeah.
yeah, our oldest when we
Forgot
visited
about that.
her grandma in Florida, we were at
Mhm.
her house, grandma's house. And how long has grandpa been gone by then? I forgot.
Not very long.
Yeah, but
Year
not
or
very.
two.
Yeah, so her grandpa passed about a year or two before that, and so our
Very,
toddler,
very, very nice guy, by the
yeah,
way.
our toddlers, Lexi was what, 2? I think
Not
2.
even because I was pregnant with
Yeah.
Kylie, yeah.
So we were just all hanging out in the living room, talking about family and stuff like that. And our daughter wanders to our grandma's room.
Oh,
Was it grandma's
gosh.
room? Or you tell it.
We went to the master bedroom because we left the living room because we were getting nervous. I'm nervous because I'm pregnant. There's a death across the street from the
Mhm.
Cuban
Oh yeah, yeah.
gang killing.
Yeah.
They're across the
Oh.
street. My grandma said this family is the nicest people she's ever met, but their
Yeah.
kids was gang related. Had gang related that night. So I was like, well, shoot. Well, no pun intended. what if they shoot towards the house? The window's right
Yeah.
here. Like, I'm sensitive when I'm pregnant. Like, and that scares the crap out of me. So he's worried too, but he's trying to be quiet. He's just like, trying to calm me down and the whole situation. And Lexi comes out of my grandparents' bathroom. First of all, we traded room because we were in the other room and I felt scared there. So we went to the master bedroom. So I said, okay. So anyway, she comes out of this bathroom and just goes, Grandpa Bob said hi. Like full sentence. And she was young. Grandpa Bob said hi. We haven't even mentioned his name. We just call him Grandpa.
Mm.
Grandpa Bob said hi. I was like, okay. But, and Grandma's like, don't be scared, because Grandpa's like the nicest person. He's a painter and just loves children. Like he quit like after 30 years from working from Ford and worked at McDonald's just so he can see these children go to schools, like give them breakfast and all this stuff, and he up and pays for them. So she's like, that's cool. He's just probably telling us to calm down. Everything's gonna be okay. Nothing's gonna happen. But that shut Carl and I up. Like,
We're going home tomorrow.
Yep.
I love Florida. Going back home. Yeah, but again,
Oh,
like the
funny.
presences of things make themselves known. Like another aunt of mine, she said she was in her early 20s, and she's this auntie, Ati Babas's mom. She's from Pangasinan.
Pangasinan.
Pangasinan. Another.
Nobody would know.
It almost seems like another more haunted area in the Philippines, because she was also very rich with stories, this auntie. And one of the stories that stayed with me is I think when she was young, they were just at a, over in the Philippines, I guess, when someone's about to pass away, there's a vigil where you stay with the person who's sick and you just keep them company, right? And unfortunately for us here in North America, that sort of practice is lost. Or maybe our families are so stretched out across the globe that we don't have that taking over of each other to sit with somebody who's passing away.
Yeah,
so,
with the rosary and everything.
That's right. So I think one of her aunts was passing away, and she couldn't make it to her shift because she was stuck in school and traffic like that. But she said on the way home, she suddenly was overwhelmed by the smell of cloying roses. Like it was just all over around her. And she realized then that her aunt had passed away. And so, she didn't get confirmation, of course, but she was just trying her best to rush home to sit with her aunt. But when she got there, they gave her the news, yes, Tita already passed away. And she's like, oh, I knew that, because at a certain point in my, my commute home, I was surrounded by the smell of roses, which was her aunt's favorite flowers.
Yeah.
So like those kinds of stories too are like another, even now when I tell it, and I mean, I've heard this story since I was little, like it still stays with you. It still gives you a lot of raised hairs, right? When you think about this.
That reminds me again, like we first bought our Tuft and Needle mattress, and I still have a youngest in diaper, right? And this Elmer guy, remember I told you about him, about going around the street like 5 times and he couldn't find his home?
Yeah.
So I come home from work, I think it was, and I said, what is that smell? It smells like urine. I was pissed because I thought nobody wants to admit that they didn't change the diaper and that the baby ended up pissing on the new
Carl's
fault.
Carl, right? He thought he was at work. But I said, man, I smell it. He's getting mad. He goes, I don't smell anything. It's your nose. I'm literally put my nose on the mattress like this. I said, it smells like pee. He goes, we don't smell it. I said, it's so strong.
Wow.
Like it's been there days on a damp rag. Like it's so, like, how can you guys not smell that? Like I'm literally like spraying this mattress with everything.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the same night or the next day. So our friend Bree used to come over a lot. Another scaredy cat like him. And I said, he used to have long hair. I'm like, I said, I smell it again. Like, Bree, do you smell that? He goes, and he gets mad because he gets scared. So he uses a lot of F words because, I don't effing smell anything. Like, stop it. Like, you're freaking me out. I said, dude, we go to the movies. Did we have the little kids then? Yes, we did. I don't think we had the 2 little ones, but we had Lexi and Kylie with us. We're going to go watch, and we were in the first person there because before it's not reserved seating. It's first come, first serve. So we're always like an hour and a half before the movie in line, right? So we're the first person in the bar. And I said, I'm about to I stood up in front of them in the railing. And I said, oh my God, that's so strong. The urine smell is in the theater.
Oh
I was like,
no.
what is that smell? I literally pulled Lexi's hair to see if she sprayed something on
Mhm.
her hair because she has really curly hair. I said, no. That evening, my sister in the Philippines, her name is Maan, she calls me and said, Uncle Elmer died. I said, oh my God. And then my papa picks up the phone and tells me, yeah, I was going to change his diaper or his
Mhm.
pad. And I found him in his room in a puddle of pee.
More
And I'm like,
chills.
so
Wow.
so he was telling me he passed on then because after he told me that, I no
Mhm.
longer smell the pee.
Mhm.
But I was like,
Wow.
for a day or two, I was like, it was really bothering me. Like I'm literally like, do you guys smell that? Like I will get like a strong whiff of it. He goes, you don't smell that?
It's like
Even if I'm living
premonition,
here. Yeah.
visitation, all of the
And then he tells
above.
me, yeah, I found him in a puddle of pee. He must have passed away and just
Oh.
let go.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
The
I said,
connection.
oh my
wow.
God. And then the smell went away. So I guess he
Wow.
was just telling me he passed away. And I'm like, that's why people are telling me about. And every time somebody's like, something bad is about to happen, I
Mhm.
somehow feel it. Somebody passes, I feel it. So I'm like, please don't do this to me. So
Yeah.
like when my mom
Yeah.
passed away, I told you guys one house fire. When they told me it was a house fire, immediately prayed and said, do not ever show me yourself burnt
Mm.
up. I said, I
Mm.
will never forgive you.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
show up in my dream looking scary.
Yeah.
I said, I'll never forgive you. So I never see her. I dreamt probably my whole life like about her twice, and both times like she's not decapitated, but you don't see her head, but you just know it's
Mm.
there.
Yeah.
I'm like, it's weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, don't you dare. I said,
Yeah.
I'll never forgive you.
Yeah. My mom's dreams too. She says she never really sees them.
Mhm.
They're usually
Just
like
know it's
half
there.
turned. They're half
Mhm.
turned.
Mm.
And from
Right.
their profile, she knows who they are.
Yeah, exactly.
She
That's how it
feels
was.
like they're talking to her, so she can hear their voices, but they're never front to her to
Right.
actually
You
see
just
her.
know it's them.
There's
That's
a
how it was
presence.
on my
Yes.
dream.
Yeah.
Mm.
I'm like,
So I'm
please
like,
don't do it to
yes.
me. So
Yeah.
never.
It's because we don't want it that it shows up to us.
Yeah.
I don't want it
Now
either.
you know
That's-
why I always
that's
tell her,
probably
don't mention it to me. I was like, nope, shut up, no.
Yeah.
Only
I'd have
like
it.
one thing I picked up in Okinawa was the. Have you guys heard of like the shisa? It's like a Chinese guardian lion dog.
No.
Uh-uh.
So
wait.
basically, like I have one in front of my house. I don't know if you remember seeing those.
Oh,
Yeah.
like the red dogs.
Yeah, those red dogs. So one mouth is
Okay.
open, one mouth is closed, and it's supposed to like the open mouth wards off evil spirits, and the closed mouth like keeps the good ones inside. And you usually
Okay.
leave like a pile of salt like in the front.
Salt.
So is that like inviting him and kicking them out at the same time?
Yeah,
Does
it's
it
like
have
you
two
keep the good
heads?
ones in, like Casper the Friendly Ghost, and then you keep like the bad aswangs.
Out.
Out.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, out.
Wait,
Yeah.
what's the name called?
They're called shisa.
Shisa?
Shisa.
Yeah.
I'm
So
gonna get a
normally,
shisa.
like it would be gifted. So after that
Mm.
night that had the ghost, I guess you could say like the weird apparitions. Like my coworker, my friend, she gifted me like a pair of shisa.
Oh.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I
Nice.
was like kept that.
Oh, I
like,
have seen these before. I'm looking. Sorry, I'm looking at a
No,
Google.
Oh, no,
right
you're
now.
good. You're good. Yeah.
I think I know what.
Rob, you
this
said you
one-
don't really
Honest
have any
tip.
much stories, but you didn't hear any stories from your mom, dad, or grandparents.
No, not really. And I
It's
texted
so cold
my
in
dad.
Detroit. It's so
I
cold
said-
in Detroit.
Yeah, we. I texted my dad and I said, "Did Mimi or Papalu ever talk to you about talk about the Duende to you?" And he said, "I don't know what that is."
No.
Yes, obviously not, right? And I thought it was
Yeah, I've
interesting
never
that
seen
that's like one way that they would
Oh, we
like,
have.
bring you
Oriental
inside,
store.
like from playing outside, right? It's like, oh, they're gonna get you or whatever. So
Yeah.
it's really interesting.
Well, there's a lot
Very
of our
interesting.
stories too are like replete with just being feared, right? Like it's a way to keep us in line so we're not malikot,
Yeah.
we're not naughty. Oh,
Right.
someone's gonna watch you, right? So you're terrified and you
Did
kind of
they do
stand
that to you?
straight up
That's
and
why
you
you're so
listen.
scared?
No, I mean,
He's so well behaved, Carl, man.
Yes, so
That's the
well
thing in the
Yeah.
Philippines too, because that's why you don't, because in the Philippines it's always, that was part of the culture shock when I moved here, was not seeing anybody outside, because in the Philippines
Oh, yeah,
everybody's
everyone's
outside,
outside.
right?
Yeah.
Everybody's outside. So
It's
there,
more
Everybody's
fun.
afraid
it-
here.
yeah, there's basically two things that kind of make you go inside, like without even an official curfew.
Mhm.
One, everybody's mom will be yelling everybody's name down the street, and you're like, oh, time for me to go home
Yep.
because my mom's calling me. And the other thing is like what Cheryl and everybody mentioned earlier about the Nuno and stuff like that. You have to be home by a certain time so you're not walking in the dark.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Even though
Check
you're
on it by
even though
accident.
you're
So
in the
witching
city or
hour.
anything like that. Yeah, you have, So as a kid, that's like what scared me in terms of, okay, it's
Yeah.
time for me to go home.
It
It's
kept
getting
you in
dark.
line.
Yeah. Well, we joke.
Right.
I mean, I joke about it all the time. It's like you get threatened by. I even said it in chat earlier. It's like that's how you would behave. It's like, "Hey, don't go over there. The mumu will
Yeah.
get you." Like, oh,
Right.
Oh,
crap.
wow.
You know, it's like, oh,
That's
don't.
why I don't say that to my kids, because I'm like, you guys are gonna be like your dad. So like one time, like his dad was gonna scare him like that, or his mom was like, "Mumu." I said, don't do that. I said, I don't want them scared when they're little, because they're all gonna be like him. And apocalypse comes, and I'm the only one trying to save everybody. I said, that's not happening.
Funny.
No way.
And I think and that's another kind of behavioral like counteract of who you don't go over this the mumu
Mhm.
was it also it's messed up. It also kind of fueled a Catholic like guilt or a Catholic kind of culture instilled in me. Obviously now my faith is my own.
Mhm.
And I don't pray so that ghosts don't haunt me. But I mean, like, it was one of those things where it's like the reason why I felt at peace is because I tied it to
Prayer.
my faith,
Right.
and my parents would tie it to prayer. And for those who don't know, the Filipino, a majority or a lot of Filipinos are very Catholic, and that was instilled in them by the Spanish.
Until you get to the south. Yeah.
Right. And so a lot of Catholics or a lot of Filipinos are Catholic. I grew up Catholic.
Mhm.
And so that sure I was scared of the mumu that was around, the dark corner or where the place in my aunt's house that was dark that I shouldn't be in. I was scared of the mumu in there because my parents threatened me. However, to counteract a good behavior as well, it kind of like instilled the prayerful Catholic side of Filipino culture in me as well.
Yes.
Obviously other things too, being grateful for food or being grateful for whatever, but half of it was like, yo, I'm gonna pray so that stuff don't happen
Yeah.
to me.
Ward it off.
You're trapped
Yeah.
to be Catholic.
Right. and that's why I said it's kind of messed up, but at the same time, like I'm thankful for that because I would consider myself a fairly spiritual even today.
Yeah.
And it's because of stuff like that. So and I don't know if it, like Rob, for you it's just because your parents are a little bit more Americanized or what have you. But who knows? And I don't know, like I think that's another thing why I find peace is because of like my faith. Like I don't and I attribute that to being Filipino. Like most Filipinos are Catholic. But the thing is, like, it was always something. I don't know about you guys, and maybe it's because I grew up in Southern California, but it was another kind of like bridge between Filipinos and Mexicans.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's a lot
sure.
of Mexicans here,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So Mexicans, Catholic, they probably have the same stories that we do. We talked about La Llorona earlier.
Chupacabra, yeah.
They
the
celebrate All
Chupacabra.
Souls Day, right? So
Right.
there's All
and
Souls
then
Day.
they have their sayings that I know, like Sana Sana Colita de Rana, like I know
Oh.
like stuff like that, which is like kind of like little folklore things that they have. And I thought that was always cool, that just to kind of tie all of this
Mhm.
up is that yes, the Filipinos have all this folklore, yes, the Filipinos experience all of these different ghosts and things like that, but what's fun is that it's also a bridge to other cultures. And for me, it was a bridge to me and to my Mexican friends. It's like we grew up as like a cultural cousins because of that. And I always
sure.
fit in more with the Mexicans in my schools than it was like the other kids because of that. So I like that we talked about this today, because I feel like obviously it's not just Filipinos, it's not just us who experience this different folklore or different cultural related ghost stories or paranormal stories. I know a lot of other cultures experience like this paranormal stuff, and so when it's this time of year, obviously we get to hear all these fun things
Yeah.
and exchange these different stories with different cultures. And so I'm glad that we talked about this today, and we talked about it during the daytime because I can
and right
actually-
middle of October, so we're far from Halloween still.
Yes.
right. So in celebration of Filipino Heritage Month, I'm glad that, and of course with Spoopy Time with October, I'm glad that we definitely talked about this today. So
I want to
and
do
if-
ghost
and-
tours.
oh my
Ghost tour.
see, and they're not going to
Ghost
show
tours.
themselves to you because you want to see them.
I know. There's a few in
That's
Toronto.
my
I've been
That's
wanting to
my
sign up for
plan.
those.
Oh my gosh. But if anybody watching this post, or even now, you guys have your own ghost stories, especially ones tied to your culture, we'd love to hear your guys' stuff. We might even be able to read a couple of them for the next episode, since it'll still be October, still Spoopy Time for the next one. So
And it kind of invites you to kind of read about your history.
Yeah.
Like for example, the stories I was telling, it's related really around World War II, Japanese Filipino war.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, I read it today and forgot all about it, even though I went to school in the Philippines, and it's like, oh my gosh, this happened.
mhm.
So maybe this is
Mhm.
why. But then again, there's
Yes.
another thing like it's just in your head and you're kind of making it connect, but you know, it kind of brings you back and just to think about what happened in the past.
Right.
Remember what happened and who it happened to.
And really,
Right.
it's the recent past, right? Like your stories are
Yeah,
really
recent.
the recent past.
Right.
So, very cool.
Before
Right.
we brought some food. We brought
I know
some,
we like to bring food, and we
cuisine.
didn't bring this. So last weekend was Canadian Thanksgiving, but one of our family friends here went to Chicago actually. And titas and titos are always love to send us food here because they think we don't have Filipino food, but we're always so grateful. So we don't have a red ribbon in Toronto, but they send us ensamadas. Right?
Oh, eat it right
Ooh.
away. They
Love
don't last
these
very
so
long.
much. They don't. This is like the last one. I think they sent us like 2 packages, and my kids just devoured them.
So what is this? What's in here?
This is like a sweetened
Cheese
bread.
and bread and sugar.
And it is just really bread. That's white bread, and then on top it's sprinkled with butter, sugar, and cheese in this case, and it's just so good with
Those are
tea or
tasty.
coffee, and you
So good.
microwave it a little bit.
You have to
but
warm
they
it up
last
for
a long
like
time.
5 seconds or 10 seconds.
But I've never
Yeah.
seen this either. I guess Red Ribbon is also
Coffee.
expanding
Those
their
are so
menu.
Oh,
good.
the chocolate.
And
Can we go
these
to
are
Red
the
Ribbon?
chocolate,
No, I need to lose my
moist
bill bill.
slice. Harold has a Red Ribbon an hour away. Where is that
do.
again? It's like over to the
Virginia Beach.
water. Virginia
I don't
Beach.
even know what
and
Red
was so
Ribbon
excited
is.
to go there. Yeah, they're a
What?
Filipino
It's gonna be your
bakery,
homework, Ron.
and
Yeah,
they
I'm-
have
I'm
a
wearing
lot
big
of
shot.
Peanut
a
bar.
lot of ensamada,
That's
different
right.
flavors,
Yeah, I
ube,
know.
coconut, delicious. So
Oh,
always
Peanut
so
bar is
grateful
so
to be
good.
sent these Filipino treats. And Costco, our Costco now
You good
carries sweet
Onion-
longanisa, all packaged up like this.
Ooh.
So I'm gonna cook this
Fun.
for dinner.
So it's 3 packs.
3 packs for
Yummy.
15
Yes.
bucks, which is like so cheap in the US, I would imagine. But it's called sweet longanisa because I guess there's also spicy longanisa. I don't know.
Oh yeah, that
Yeah,
one's
But
there's
good.
The spicy ones are
we,
good.
we do
if you
love
find the
the
skinless one,
longanisa.
those are really good.
Oh, I've never tried those, but I also
Oh,
like
so
tocino,
Oh, like has a
which
Canadian
we never
flag.
really seen. But yeah, this one is
I'm gonna get
yep,
Christina to buy me.
delicious in Costco. So thank you, Costco, for bringing more Filipino
forgot to-
stuff to us. Yeah.
I forgot to send this picture in our group chat, but this is also at Costco.
Ano yan?
There we go.
Spam.
Just
Oh,
a ton of
Oh,
spam.
Lord.
wow,
Hell
we don't
yeah.
have spam here.
Means
We,
yeah.
we have 3 packs of those right now.
Right? We had them
It's in the
yesterday.
We just got them
Hey,
for
I heard
breakfast
it
yesterday.
in the US. You guys have like different spam flavors. Who was it? Who was telling
Oh,
us?
it was
Yeah,
Doc,
Oh, yeah.
Doc Samson.
Doc Samson, different flavors of spam, and I've never seen any other flavor
Yeah, Okinawa.
other than
has-
spam, right?
You go to Safeway here. There's just
Jalapeno.
We're more
Safeway.
sophisticated with our spam selection.
Yeah, no
Yeah.
kidding. Truffle spam. Who
Peppery.
knows?
Oh,
That's why we got
Truffle
Bill Bill.
spam.
Mm.
Wow.
Wow.
Imagine braised in red wine. I don't know.
oh, wow. Fancy.
Awesome. Nice
I guess-
pickups.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
So if you
Alright.
if you find a seafood city close to you, Rob, it's gonna
So I
have
got
either a
nothing. I don't have
Chowking, a
Seafood City,
Jollibee,
I
or
don't
Red
have-
Robin. Oh, Red Robin.
Red
Red
Ribbon.
Ribbon.
Red Ribbon.
Red
I don't
Ribbon.
have any of
That's
those.
very
I don't have any of
good.
those
Red
near me.
Yeah, I see that.
Oh, I
I
gotta
don't
find your
either.
address and I'm gonna
I
find
don't
it.
either.
The closest one is closest Red Ribbon is San Antonio,
Oh,
which
Damn.
is
Oh,
yeah about 2.5 hours away. 2 hours.
That's
away,
not
something
bad.
like that.
I have one down
Yeah.
the road, so
or Goldilocks.
Yeah.
I don't have that here either.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
SoCal.
nice. Yeah.
We need Manila.
I find myself just googling it every once in a while, like, hey, maybe like since the last time I looked
They
it up, they've
opened
built
one.
one. You know? Yeah.
They've heard my
No.
prayers.
No, dang it.
And we have one Jollibee here now.
Yeah.
Finally.
Nice.
dang.
Nice.
All right.
Well, it's on every street in California.
yeah.
Yeah, there isn't a
Alright.
single seafood city in Texas. actually.
Damn.
Looking at it, yeah.
Not
Stuff.
moving to Texas.
Nope.
Or Arizona.
It's funny because when I decided, okay, I'm gonna move to Austin, I was like, okay, let me make sure there's a Lego store nearby and there's a Bricks and Minifigs nearby. But now I know also Seafood City and Red Ribbon now, and a Jollibee, all those.
Hey, at least you
so-
got your Costco membership.
Yeah, you got your Costco.
That's
a
key.
Costco membership. So we also have In and Out and we have Canes and all this
we don't have
southern
In-N-Out.
food. So it's all right, you know.
You're
I'll-
not
I'll be fine.
starving.
I'll be fine. Yeah.
He's fit. You can't have
Yeah.
Jollibee and run.
Yeah, you
I
can.
mean,
No, you
that-
can't.
Well, that's why you run, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you-
exactly.
Have the
you
job.
need
That's
to
the
carb
reason.
up.
Yeah.
yes.
You need to carb
No.
up afterwards.
It's more
not
motivation.
happening
And
to us.
before.
Anything.
There you
All right.
go.
I guess this is a good 2-hour end to this. Good talk, good sharing of stories. I think you're right. It's good that we shared it during daylight hours so I can sleep later tonight.
Yep.
Now we get Jollibee.
Did we talk about for the next time doing some costumes?
Yeah, let's
should
do
I
it.
should I
for
come
Halloween.
dressed up? in
Yeah,
costume?
Yeah.
Okay.
definitely.
All right.
And then
that'll
maybe
be
we
good.
can share our favorite Halloween stories, as in like childhood Halloween, right?
Oh, I dressed up as
what remember
Lightning.
here.
Yeah.
Because
Sounds good.
Halloween isn't
Fred-
in the Philippines.
Fred was
Day
Fred
of
was
the
prepared
Dead.
today. He was dressed up as Zach and Rutledge. You know.
Right.
Why didn't
Yeah.
you
He
dress
was
as
already
somebody?
prepared. There
Yeah,
it is.
you
Why
know.
didn't
there
you
it
dress
is.
as
Zach, hey,
Yeah,
how are you?
Right.
Oh, what happened to Fred?
Oh, where'd Fred go?
Oh,
Fred go?
Z Nation.
That's funny.
But yeah, well, let's prepare for that next time. And again, chat or anybody that watches this post show, share your paranormal stories, your parents felt paranormal stories, or anything of the sort, any folklore that your culture that you've heard as part of your culture. We'd love to read some of those as well in the next episode. Cheryl, thank you so much for joining us. You're more than welcome
Thank
to
you.
The
Yes.
first official
to
guest.
join us.
I can't
Yeah,
wait to see
to
your
join us for
costume next time.
future episodes. I'm sure you'll have
another
plenty
lady.
to contribute.
Can
I know
dress
I've
like Fred?
there.
I'll have
yeah.
a goatee and
Wait, it's like have you seen those TikTok videos where they have like you dress as your husband and your like the wife or the partner dresses like the other,
Oh, that's funny.
like Halloween parties.
That's
We
funny.
look
Oh
alike
my-
already, right?
I just want to
Um,
see you in a hot nurse's outfit.
Ooh.
oh, there you go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. But with that, guys, catch us in 2 weeks for Holla Holla time. All of our social media, I'm sure, will be posted all over the place, so you guys can follow us on our respective channels. And we'll catch you guys next time for. Wow, I'm not kidding. There's where's the music? When am I gonna get shut up? When am I gonna get shut up? Make sure to follow us and hang out with us on our respective social medias. We'll catch you guys on the next episode of Holla Holla Time. Ingat,
Let's
everybody.
halo halo.
Bye.
Ingat.
Don't forget to reverse your shirts.